We're on YouTube. We're going live on YouTube, Facebook, and X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. What is going on, folks? Will Turbid here. Fake Mike in the car. Smash the window out, bitch. Real news. Guys, cheese and crackers, man. Vegan cheese and crackers. Do we got a story for you today? We're joined by Jamal. And Jamal has not appeared on this channel for a very long time. And I've been begging him to. And he said, no. You stupid cracker. He's like, not going to defile myself by lowering myself and putting myself on this camera. No. But in all seriousness, I just said this to Jamal off camera. And I want to thank my own conscience, racist cops and judges, and Jamal and Todd, my boy Todd from New Jersey. Now, we're going to get to it. It may not even be today. We're going to get to it. But Jamal, we're going to start with this. Jamal is a regular dude. He's somebody that does not have a criminal record, and he dutifully served his country, and he has one, maybe two young children, correct?
Yeah, we just had a son. He's
just had a son, man.
Born this past November. My daughter just turned 3.
And what did you name your son's middle name? Because obviously the first one was Will Fake Mike. What was the middle name?
Real news.
Oh yeah. Just kidding. Don't answer that. Just kidding.
Get some of my Marine Corps stuff.
So, and guys, if you were joining this right here, I see you got Nephew Jamie always shares this, saying, what's good, Jamal? We got Bam Audits, News Now Fort Worth. It's actually colder in Fort Worth than it is here in snowy Rhode Island. That's crazy. Behind the scenes, Carolina. I don't know how to put on all messages. I'm just on my tablet. I need you guys to share this video. This is the story of a lifetime. And guess what? I got it. And guess what? With your help, this is like one of those choose your own adventure stories. And I'm choosing to have y'all help me, and we're going to win. So the adventure choice is win. Now, before we get into the situation that Jamal is going through, and we're all going through, Bear Britain Audits, man, if I could beg you for one share on this one, I would beg you for this share. I would really beg you for this share. It's snowing everywhere. God damn it. So I first came across Jamal. He was doing some awesome activism with DCYF. And that's how I met Jamal. And me and Jamal have been, CFR Network, if you could share this, and Bear Britain, if you could interview this guy, CFR, if you could interview this guy, we need you. Remember Little Rascals? They were like, we need your money. Come see 5-foot man eating chicken. I don't need your money. I need your shares, and I need you guys to interview this this gentleman here. So, wow, that's crazy. All right, so I met Jamal. He was doing great work with DCYF, which is CPS, Child Protective Services, here in Rhode Island. They've had children die and go missing in their care, actually treating the children worse than the terrible parents that should be. Rogier, I need you to share this. Angel Baby, I need you to share this. This is important. I never asked you guys to really share it, but we're going to have to really share this video today. So this is going to be a several part. Every week, I'm going to be giving you another part with or without Jamal. This is the story of a lifetime here, and we're going to make sure that there is justice. So first and foremost, though, before we get into anything, I want to know about Jamal. Jamal hasn't been on this channel in a very long time. And I want people to know, who is Jamal? Let's start, I'm serious. Let's start like back in the day. Let's start with your early childhood.
Oh, man.
And let's tell people, let's get this story going on, because people need to understand, because in order to know a story, you need to know the protagonist, right? Anybody that follows Joseph Campbell knows that there's the main character, and then he grows up, and then there's like a couple, and there's some trials and tribulations, and then he gets a merry cast of men and women and trans all together, and they go through pitfalls and adventures, but guess what? They come out on top. So let's find out. Today we're finding out, who is Jamal. Jamal, who are you, bro? Tell us about your childhood, man. And thank you very much for coming on and for being who you are.
It all started in my mom's womb. I was born in 1992. We bounced around from. I was born in Providence, Rhode Island. We lived in the projects in Pawtucket for a little bit before my mom and my dad bought a house in 1999. I lived in Astoria, Queens, New York when I was young. When I first experienced what a shootout was, I thought it was fireworks. I was that age where I didn't know what, violence was and stuff like that. I think I was in several shootouts in New York. But one time, this guy came out of nowhere and scooped me up. I was a young kid. I was looking in the sky. It was broad daylight. Some guy scooped me up and brought me to my aunt's building, and then I ended up being safe. But anyway, born in 1992, lived in the projects, lived in several projects, lived with my grandmother on my mom's side, lived with my grandmother on my dad's side. And then, like I said, they got their house in 1999. And that's the same house that they're still in today. And that's the house that we ended up fighting the foreclosure against. And then we ended up getting the foreclosure reversed. And my parents are still in the house. I've shared a lot of stuff on my personal, like Instagram and YouTube, as far as like my dad teaching me to stand up to bullies and my parents. I remember
Tell people about your father a little bit. What did he do? I've met your father. He seems like a awesome dude, man. Like, tell people about your father and your mother if you want to, if you could.
My father was in the Air Force when he was young. He tried to get me to join the Air Force, and I ended up joining the Marines. He was in the Air Force. He actually was able to go to South Korea, which is amazing because I also ended up in South Korea.
That's why you two brothers have so much soul. Geography joke. Oh, yeah.
I did go to Seoul, Korea. So yeah, my dad, he worked at the training school in Rhode Island. Him, my uncle, and growing up, all of my dad's friends were also my uncles. So all of my uncles worked for the state. They worked at the training school. So like a lot of people know who my dad is. My mom actually worked at the hospital here in Pawtucket before it got closed down for all the malpractice lawsuits and stuff. Them, robbing old people, and they got insurance and their insurance pays for it, but they still make them pay like a $500 copay and stuff like that. My mom worked there. They were great parents. Actually, I was at their house this past weekend, and I, told them thanks for being just great parents, because now I'm a dad and I have to deal with my daughter. She's 3 and throwing tantrums and stuff like that, and it's really hard to deal with when you're trying to change her poop diaper and she's just rolling all over the place, or she's trying to touch it. So, it takes a lot of patience that, you're not really prepared for. I was in the military. I was trained to do certain things and go through a certain amount of stress, but having a child is different.
I want to ask about that too, because me, like I'm always cold. I always, like, even in your crib or even inside somewhere, I got a jacket and a scarf on. You know what I'm saying? I'm cold. I stay cold. And Jamal, we'd be outside and it'd be like winter on, and he'd be out in a t-shirt. And I'd be like, what's wrong with you? And be like, yo, the military, man, they taught me. I'd be like, damn, it's true. They probably did. But so how is it different being a parent? So what are some unexpected things? I mean, because when you're in the military, they prepare you for pretty much everything. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, most of that is like prepare you for violent things. Like I remember, so I was stationed on the 31st MU. All right, I was in 7th Communications Battalion. I got to Okinawa, Japan, 2011, February 2011, right when the that radioactive spill happened. I had just got there, and then from 7th.
That's your comic book origin story.
From 7th Communications Battalion, they sent me to the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. And in order to go on the ship, I was aboard the USS Essex before I got decommissioned, which I found out later that the USS Essex was the ship that they sent to the Bay of Pigs in Cuba. So I was on that ship. In order to go on the ship, in order to go on the ship,
you have to write a book about your life. You already wrote a book. It's going to be the links in the description, but you're going to have to write a book about your life, because that's insane, dude.
I feel like if I write a book about my life, my parents have to write a chapter or two, or they have to write some of it. My sisters have to write some of it. My relatives have to write some of it, because my perspective is so limited to just what I remember and my experiences.
And hopefully we can get these people on to talk about that too. But you were talking about how you were on that. So hopefully you said you were on that same ship, right? And the Bay of Pigs.
Yeah. So what I was trying to get to is, before you go on a ship, there's a chance that you might be on a helicopter. So before you go on the ship, which may lead you to a helicopter, you have to go through something called egress training. If you don't know what it is, just YouTube videos of egress training. They put you in a simulated helicopter and they dump you in a pool, and it floods. You have to go upside down and you have to escape. So I had to go through egress training, which was probably the hardest thing in my life because I felt like I was going to drown, and the instructors just watched it happen. And like, you have this little tube of oxygen that goes right here with the little breath thing, and there's 2 ways to clear it, or 3 ways to clear it. One is you just press it and the oxygen pushes the water out. The other one is you exhale, which pushes the water out. And then the third one is the combination of the 3, or a combination of the 2, which is the third one. So you press the oxygen and breathe out, and it clears the mouth guard of the water. So, you're upside down and you have to do this. And you have to do this like 3 or 4 times. So you're already soaked and tired. And there's like a knob that shows you how much oxygen you have. When it's green, it's good. When it's red, you're running out. So I'm upside down. I try to clear the mask. I thought I cleared it. I inhale, and now I have water in my lungs. So technically, I'm drowning. And I'm trying to press more of the oxygen because I'm thinking there's more water in the mouth guard, and it's not. It's just in my fucking lungs. So I'm pressing it. And by the time I finally like cough out, I guess, the water, my tank is on red. So I'm scared. Then you have to push the glass, the fake window out, and then swim through the window and swim to the surface. Anyway, I was fucking scared. But I feel like that was one of the most scariest things in my life besides, reflecting on what happened July 3rd. So the military prepares you for stuff like that.
So yeah, what? Sorry, and I'm sorry to interrupt because sometimes the connection's going in and out. And we're live now, I believe, on X, Facebook, and YouTube. I can only see the YouTube comments. I'm going to go look over in a little bit when Jamal keeps this conversation going. But, I think it is important for people to understand the context of the context. So I'm just going to come out and say it, and we'll say this for now. Jamal is a so-called so-called black dude. You guys will see me. Actually, thanks to Jamal, I've been air quoting the shit out of a lot of things over the last 4 years because a lot of the words, and we'll talk about that in one of these streams too. But Jamal's a so-called black dude who served this country with honor, and who does not have a criminal record. And why is this? Why am I making such a big deal? Why are we finding out the background of Jamal? Well, Jamal is facing 88 years in prison for literally nothing illegal. He did not commit crime.
For exercising the Second Amendment, which
you didn't even exercise it. You didn't even exercise it. He literally did nothing wrong, and because he's so-called black or he's a Moor and he just fits a description, he's facing 88 years in prison. They want to take this guy who served in the Marine Corps, who doesn't have a criminal record, who has 2 young children and a wife at home. They want to throw him in a cage. Why? Because they're racist idiots. Because they're colonizers. Okay? So the reason we're going to get to know Jamal is because, and the reason I'm saying you got to fucking share this video, everybody that has a YouTube channel, I don't care who you are, we need to be talking to Jamal. We need to air this out. Why? Because if Jamal goes to jail, I go to jail. Rozier goes to jail. Wildman, we all go to jail. If they can lock up a Marine who didn't do nothing wrong, doesn't have a criminal record, and didn't commit a crime, and throw him in jail for 88 fucking years, we have a problem here. So Jamal, tell us about your fondest, earliest childhood memory.
Probably just growing up with my cousins. I remember I have 2 cousins, Robbie and Desmond. I used to go to their house a lot, and we used to play Super Smash Bros. On Nintendo 64. And we would just be up for hours. Just
who was your character?
Kirby.
Why Kirby?
Because he was the best, I think.
That's fair.
Yeah, Kirby. Yeah, I still got my Nintendo 64, and I still play as Kirby when it decides to load. I'm not really into the new Smash Bros. I feel like it's too much, too fast paced. I can't tell what's happening. I don't know. Maybe
Here's the deal. I'm sorry to interrupt, Jamal. Here's the deal. I need you. This is the most important story I need you to interview this dude, and I need you to share this video right now. Clip it up. Do whatever you want. Edit the gigantic, disgusting pimple off my face. This is important. Jamal is somebody with a criminal record. No criminal record. Sorry, he has no criminal record. He's a Marine, and he's facing 88 years in prison for not committing a crime. I need everybody. He's literally going to go to jail for 88 years if we don't get the fucking word up on this. Again, Jamal, super cool dude, right? No criminal record, did not commit a crime, Marine. Me and him, after we started playing Smash Brothers, became the Smash Brothers. Don't tell Juju that. And then the last part is a joke. But seriously, this guy's facing 88 years for possessing a firearm. A Marine with no criminal record. Here's the deal. Please.
You know what's crazy? So this last motion that I filed, Judge Deakin, he said that my conduct is protected by the Second Amendment, but he said the types of arms that I had were not commonly owned, number one, and then he called them weapons of war.
Commonly owned.
He said they're not commonly owned.
That's what I'm saying. So if I have a
Hold on, let me finish. Right?
I'm sorry, Jamal. I'm sorry. I'm gonna shut the fuck up for a while and let you take over. But guys, last thing I'm gonna say is share this fucking video right now. I need you guys to all interview Jamal. I look like a weird dude with a crate, but here's the deal. I need you, everybody, please. I'm shutting up. Jamal, tell me when I can talk again.
So the judge, he denied my motion to dismiss based on the Supreme Court Bruen decision. He said that my conduct was protected by the Second Amendment, which obviously means I can't be charged. But then he said the types of arms that I bore were not commonly owned by law-abiding citizens, and he called them weapons of war. And he referenced a California case from 2009. But in 2021, the federal courts in California, it was Miller versus Bonta, emphatically said that these arms are protected by the Second Amendment, and they are home defense weapons. And he even said that they're more commonly owned than a Ford F-Series. And every time you see a Ford F-Series, imagine seeing 100 AR-15s, right? That was in 2021. Deakin denied my motion October 18th of last year, 2023. The next day, October 19th, 2023, the federal courts in California again reaffirmed their decision in Miller versus Bonta, saying that these are commonly owned firearms by law-abiding citizens, right? A similar thing happened with my motion to dismiss under Judge Boudreaux, where he said that my interpretation of the Second Amendment was wrong and that the Massachusetts statute isn't unconstitutional. The following day, that's when the United States Supreme Court came out with the Bruen decision, and they specifically mentioned the Massachusetts licensing scheme as being unconstitutional. So what's interesting is the overwhelming majority of case law that supports my position as being innocent, and the fact that within Massachusetts' own statutes, there are laws that exempt people from being charged with unlicensed possession of a firearm, one of which is the temporary holding, handling, and or firing of a firearm for lawful purposes. And the United States Supreme Court specifically said in 2008, the Heller Court said that the Second Amendment is in case of confrontation, which we were confronted. And in fact, the police themselves say that they confronted us. And in fact, there was a police officer, I forgot his name. But if you've seen the footage, he was the guy with the reflective vest that was moving and twitching. But he basically said out of his own mouth that if we weren't exercising our Second Amendment right, he would have body slammed us to the ground. So that just again reaffirms the fact that the Second Amendment is absolutely necessary to protect us from them. Yeah. And again, the United States Supreme Court, I forgot the case. I think it's Catiano. I'm not sure how to pronounce this woman's last name, but she was charged with possessing a taser, and the Massachusetts court sent her to prison. And she was using that taser in defense of an abusive boyfriend. But anyway, the United States Supreme Court said that the lower courts of Massachusetts' interpretation of the Heller Court is dangerous to our Second Amendment right. Again, and I have all of this typed up on my website, riseofthemorals.org. I have two separate tabs. One is called Second Amendment. I gave you the link, and the other one is called the Bruen decision. But there's copious amounts of case law that prove that my position in favor of the Constitution, the same Constitution I swore an oath to protect and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic, when I served in the United States Marine Corps, That case law supports the Second Amendment and the manner in which I was exercising that Second Amendment right. And there's a case there specifically from the Massachusetts Superior Court, Chief of Shelburne versus Mayor, I believe, where they themselves said, this was before 2008, so before the Supreme Court Heller decision, that since there is no Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, it's not unlawful to license it. Now, obviously, post 2008, post the United States Supreme Court saying that the Second Amendment has always been an individual right, that would mean by Massachusetts' own logic, it is therefore unconstitutional to license it. And then, of course, when you study Bruen, and I typed all this up, provided all the case law, and in the amicus curiae brief to the Bruen Supreme Court, it was stated that only slaves needed licenses to keep and bear arms. White people didn't. And then when you study the Revolutionary War, part of the Britain's modus operandi or plan for the colonies here was to license the bearing of arms. So part of the entire revolution against Great Britain was the colonists said, you cannot tell us what to do with our guns. So by the very nature of a license is unconstitutional. So that's some of that.
Yeah, literally, it says shall not be infringed. And to me, it's like, and here's the deal is asking, is there a video of the incident? Do you still have it back up on your YouTube channel? Because it was really weird. They took your YouTube channel down and they put it back up. Would you be able to send me a link to that or drop it in the chat? Or I don't know if you could drop it in the chat, but if you could send a link to me on Instagram or text message, I'll put it in the description of this video. I don't have to do it right away, but whenever you can, put in the description of the video. Because so I mean, it's so funny how they play these little games, right? It's like shall not be infringed, but then they have, and first of all, case law, and I'll give another shout out to Brian. How are you today, brother? Oh, Brian just left. All right, let's see if we can get Brian back on. Brian is the dude that runs a few channels. He had a High Impact Fix and High Impact Vlogs, and his one big channel, I think they took it down, or they definitely stopped it at 567,000. He's got other channels, Here's the Deal, and so on and so forth. He's got a big reach. And so hopefully we can get him to join us, and hopefully if not, that's the main reason I want to get this video out, so he can share it and he can cover it. And he can interview you and all these other people like Bear Brit and all this, because we got to get the word out, because the mainstream news isn't doing their job. The mainstream, well, they are doing their job.
They're not.
They're doing the job. They're saying, hey, they're taking the job of the racist judge and the racist cops, and they're saying, hey, this black guy is owning a gun, that's bad. Don't worry about the fact that our Declaration of Independence says the reason why we have United States is because people are born with unalienable rights. One of the most obvious ones is the right to defend themselves, and the reason we have a government is to protect our rights. And but this guy, he's black. Not 5 years. The crazy shit about it's not 5, 10 years. It's 88 years, bro. Yeah. Absolutely.
No one was hurt. Not a bullet was fired. No guns were pointed at the police. In fact, when you watch the YouTube live video footage that I did in order to make sure that I wasn't murdered, you'll see that we reassured them that we weren't pointing anything at them. Don't point anything at us, because it just would have been terrible.
One of the most heroic things I've ever seen, because I've said this about Jamal in the past. I've said it about him to his face. I've said it behind his back. I've said it on and off camera. I've met many, many, many activists over the years. I've traveled this country. I've met many, many activists. Jamal is the only person, well, not the only person. He's one of a handful of people I know that he walks the fucking talk. He's out there. He's done countless homeless drives. He's done countless giveaways. He's constantly in the streets, reaching out to people, talking to people, right? This guy actually walks his talk. And again, the way you handle that situation, as I was watching it live, I'm watching real life history. I'm watching a hero. The way you handle those tyrants, because I get upset just thinking about this shit. And the way you handle that was amazing. Brian, welcome to the stream. Jamal and Brian, I'd like to introduce you both. Brian, I kind of gave you a little introduction if you want to introduce yourself, but this is Jamal. Jamal is a Marine Corps veteran facing 88 years in jail coming up very soon, and the news just says, "Oh, he's a black piece of shit." And so, I mean, they're just gonna throw his ass in jail for no reason, with no criminal record, and he's a Marine. I'm gonna shut up for a sec. But if you guys, Brian, welcome to the stream. How are you today, brother? And thank you for joining.
Good, but I mean, the reason I came on is because when injustice happens to one man anywhere, it happens, of course, to all men everywhere, and we are Jamal. So if Jamal is innocent, he should not see 1 second of jail, let alone 88 years. But what I want to do, Jamal, is I'm on your website right now, riseofthemoors.org. Is that right?
Yep.
And where do I go to find the information that you're talking about?
So there's a tab that says Res Judicata.
Okay, I see it.
If you hover over that, there's going to be a subsequent tabs. One says Second Amendment, and the other one says Bruen.
Okay, and Bruen is the one?
Both of them.
Okay. So I got Second Amendment.
Interrupt real quick, because Jamal seems to have no problem with your audio. If you guys could put in the chat, how's the audio for Brian? It's terrible for me. I can't understand him. But as long as you guys, if you can just put a 1 in the chat that the audio is fine for Brian, would be good. But you guys continue, please.
Jamal, do you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. So there's nothing in nationality, citizenship, and sovereignty. It's just in Second Amendment and Bruen. Is that right?
So for this case law on the Second Amendment and things like that, that's where that is. If you want to know about sovereignty, because they call us sovereign citizens and things like that in a derogatory manner,
right?
I have case law provided there as well on what sovereignty is, how it affects citizenship, and how it affects nationality.
So specifically, this incident that revolves around you in your case, is there video footage that you took, or were you able to get body cam footage?
Yeah, so I did have a body camera as well, but as it happened, I also went live on YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube channel, riseofthemoors.org, you might have to scroll down a little bit. You'll see it. It's the only one with 205,000 views.
Okay.
That was me going live once we were already surrounded. And just to reiterate, all of the arms that I've ever purchased in my life were purchased from Lost Treasures in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, after passing a state and federal background check. I've never illegally purchased any firearms in my life. I never made any straw man purchases in my life. Every serial number that they found was connected to me in some form or fashion. So it's not like I was illegally trafficking arms and asking for people to support me. That's not what's happening here.
Right.
And you won't see at trial, you won't see the prosecutor say that Jamal illegally purchased anything. I'm not even being charged with that. There was no serial numbers obliterated, nothing like that, nothing whatsoever. And most of that case law that's provided on my website, I was able to find in jail because they gave us access to LexisNexis, which was like a legal thing where you can look up cases and stuff like that.
Right.
And you'll see case law on there where it specifies federal courts in some of their dissent decisions that were later on affirmed by the Supreme Court in Heller 2008. They were saying the Second Amendment is an individual right. They say things like the militia isn't just subject to state control and leadership. They'll say everything that is true regarding the Second Amendment, everything that people have been saying for years for the Second Amendment. And one of the biggest injustices is the fact that in, I believe it's Miller versus Bonta in 2021, they specified for, since the 80s, most interpretations of the Second Amendment was wrong. That means hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people were arrested and sent to prison, not just jail, sent to prison for simply exercising their Second Amendment right. And most of them made the argument that it was an individual right, and the courts just struck it down. Only until 2008, when the Supreme Court said it's an individual right, was it finally decided that it's an individual right. But what about all those thousands of people that had to go to jail and spend money on commissary and spend money on phone calls, and families that were destroyed just because people had a firearm on them? They weren't going out to rob anyone, steal anything. They just had a gun.
Right.
If that's the case, then every single police officer should be in prison. They got guns. But then when you read the slave laws, when you read the actual slave laws, it says that slaves can't carry any weapons unless they have permission from their masters or they wear a marked badge. That's slave law. And that's exactly what the colonists fought against with the war with Great Britain.
I definitely want to get in touch with the bigger channels like James Freeman, Lackluster, Audit the Audit, so we can get your story out there, because really what we need right here is a wide viewership, because unfortunately the tyrannical government that we have will only acquiesce sometimes if they get massive public outrage, and that's really what we need in this situation.
Yeah, because it's sad, man. There's people just sitting in jail just because they were keeping and bearing arms. There was no criminal intent. There was nothing. And what's crazy is August 3rd, 2023, Judge Coffey in Lowell District Court had a case before him where someone from New Hampshire was exercising their Second Amendment right in Massachusetts, and they dismissed the case against him because they said it's unconstitutional for him to turn into a felon the moment he walks into Massachusetts when he's exercising the Second Amendment right in conformity to New Hampshire. So how come it doesn't apply to me?
Right. And what state were you in again?
I'm from Rhode Island, and we were going to Maine.
Okay. And what are the specific gun laws in Rhode Island? Were you stopped in Rhode Island?
No,
or
we
Maine?
were stopped in Maine. So
And-
there's also YouTube video footage on my YouTube channel of me calling the Pawtucket police saying, "Hey, my name is Jamal. I'm in charge of a local militia. We're going to be patrolling on these streets. So if people see us, don't be alarmed." And I got that recorded. They drove around several times. They seen us. No arrest, no problem. Because in Rhode Island at the time, where I purchased all of my magazines, all of my ammunition, all of my arms, you could open carry what they considered a long rifle. And since my arrest, they changed that.
Right. Okay. So I'm on your YouTube channel right now, and the video that has 206,000 views is "We Are Not Anti-Government." That's one of the videos, right?
Yeah.
Now, where's your body cam footage video? Do you have that on there too?
That wasn't uploaded. That's on a hard drive that the prosecutor gave us as evidence. I haven't been able to upload any of that.
Okay. Are you representing yourself in this case, or do you have somebody?
Yeah, I'm pro se. I'm pro se.
Do you need legal help, like from?
I mean, I would love if the Firearms Policy Coalition could get involved, because they're the people behind Bruin. They're the people behind Miller versus Bonta, and they're doing a lot of great stuff for the Second Amendment. So I would love if they can get involved somehow, because everything I'm saying, the courts, they're just not hearing it because I'm the one saying it.
Okay, here's what I want to do personally on my end is I want to make like an 8 to 10 minute video that distills everything that you just said. And what I'd like to do is maybe get with you. Just if you can give me your email address, I'll write it down, and we can, or I can give you my phone number later on or whatever, and we can talk. But I would like to distill it, because unfortunately people's attention spans are very, very short. So you have to do it in 8 to 10 minutes and get out of there, or, nobody's going to watch unless it's compelling. Then they'll stay around for 20, 25 minutes. But, I'll get with you, and I'll get with Fake Mike Real News, and we can get together and collaborate on something and put together, a video that can go on everybody's channels.
Yeah, that sounds good.
When is your sentencing supposed to happen?
So I haven't been tried yet. The trial date is scheduled for February 26th. The prosecutor's trying to change it to the 28th now, even though this date has been set for like 6 months. And I just filed a new motion to hear the dismissal de novo, because Deacon used case law from 2009 in California to say that my arms aren't protected by the Second Amendment. But then the next day, the federal courts in California said that they were protected by the Second Amendment. So I at least want to have a new hearing on that. And if I need to, then appeal to the federal courts to settle this, because it's technically the federal question, to settle the federal question.
Right.
Or are these arms protected, or are they weapons of war? Because if it's commonly owned in a Ford F-50 series or whatever it is, then obviously it's protected by the Second Amendment. If the federal courts are saying it, then obviously there's res judicata effect in Massachusetts that they have to accept that.
Did you get all the disclosure statements for everything that's going on?
Are you talking about Discovery?
Yeah, Discovery.
I believe so. There are two of my co-defendants, or at least one of them, that have allegedly made statements. I don't know who it is, so I'm under like a protection order for that. I just haven't read that yet.
Right.
But it's not like they can say we were doing anything wrong. We weren't out to rob a bank. We were going to Maine like we did several times. I got video footage of us in Maine as well.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick, because I promised I wouldn't. But not only is this guy not doing anything, he's going up to vegan barbecue, do gun training, hang out with his friends on the 4th. This all happened on the fucking 4th of July weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. The day that the militias stood tall for the freedom of the United States.
Wow.
The 13 colonies, they weren't even states yet.
Man, it's crazy. Like, people say you can't make this stuff up. You can, but why would you have to? It's so freaking tyrannically ironic. I'm writing all this stuff down. Okay, so
like 13 minutes in, Trooper Casey, there was like, he was a state trooper. There was a Wakefield police officer that showed up. On Trooper Casey's body footage, he asked the Wakefield police officer, he said, "So what do you think?" And the Wakefield police officer went like this, which means let him go. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So what's the? Give me the date that this happened on. The exact
July
date.
3rd, 2021.
2021. Okay.
Yeah, and I was in jail. I was in jail from July 3rd to July.
Yeah, let's talk
27th,
about that 1
2020.
second, right? And I mean, I have had difficulty sleeping as it is, and every night that they didn't even establish probable cause. They literally kidnapped this dude. How long? How
Hold on,
long?
1 second.
Sorry.
In the Wakefield District Court, I asked them on their body cam footage that the prosecutor used against us to hold us dangerous. I said, "What is your probable cause?" They said, "I don't know." On the body cam footage. And if you pay attention, I'm not sure if this is all recorded, but if you look at the white shirts, the bailiffs who had us, even they were shaking their head. And I'm looking around like, so why are we still here?
Mate, you know what this sounds like, Jamal? Are you familiar with a guy named Kevin Strickland?
I don't think so.
Kevin Strickland back in 1978 was convicted and sentenced in a triple homicide that he didn't commit, wasn't there. The two guys that ended up being found guilty of doing it and admitting they did it served 10 years each and got out of prison in like the late 1980s. This guy, Kevin Strickland, he's a black guy. He was released from prison in Missouri. This is the state just north of me in Oklahoma. After 43 years of being incarcerated in a federal penitentiary. The prosecutors knew they didn't do it. The judge at that time knew they didn't do it. And they found the guys who did it. And the guys who admitted to doing it said that Kevin Strickland wasn't even there. This ain't the land of the free, home of the brave, man. We got to get you out of this. So
all they have to say for themselves is it was a miscarriage of justice. That's bullshit.
That is BS. And I don't care how many millions. It's like this guy that just got out. I can't remember his name, but they gave him $25 million. It was in North Carolina. Did you see that case? It just happened a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago.
I do follow Live and Direct on the air, and he's always showing people getting released from prison for stuff they didn't do. It's hard to watch, man. It's sad. 40 years of fucking torture. It sucks in jail, bro. I can't imagine prison. Prison must be several times worse.
Yeah, not only the anguish that you have to go through being in prison, but the mental anguish of being separated from your family, missing birthdays, missing funerals. His mom and his dad died during the time that he was in jail. It's just so sad. And I don't care if you gave the guy $1 billion, he could never recover the life he could have had. So, man, this is so infuriating, man. That
happened to a kid in New York. I can't remember his name, but he was sent to Rikers for stealing a backpack that he didn't steal. Then he got out and he ended up committing suicide.
Oh my God.
You can't, these are not normal conditions. I'm lucky that I was in the military to have the mental fortitude that I have.
Absolutely, dude.
That's sad. That's disgusting to say. I'm lucky. People kill themselves because they can't handle transitioning from jail to real life. You know what I'm saying? And I know how hard it was. I'm about to cry. I know how hard it was for me to transition from the military to civilian life. That shit was fucking hard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And luckily I've been on a ship before, so I've been in confined space. I've been in a smaller rack than that. So I was kind of prepared. What about my 10 co-defendants?
How many you were starting to say that you were in jail from July 3rd to when?
July 27th of the next year.
Wow. What of 2022?
Yeah, I was found dangerous. So in Massachusetts, they have something called dangerousness.
I'm sorry.
Hold on, wait. Pedophiles cannot be found or held dangerous. They're not considered a danger to society. If you're charged with pedophilia, you cannot be held dangerous.
Hey, don't say that word on my channel, please. Just say calm Choma.
If you're charged with those types of charges, statutory charges, you cannot be found dangerous in Massachusetts.
This is the most unconstitutional thing ever. Okay. I don't have probable cause. I don't have any evidence of a crime. I don't have a warrant. I don't have reasonable articulable suspicion, but you're black. So you're dangerous. I'm going to stick you. How long were you in that cell for, Jamal?
July 3rd, 2021 to July 27th, 2020.
Sorry, I can't hear because I can only hear you. I can't hear Brian, and it's tough. I'm sorry. I'm shutting back up. Guys, everybody, if you haven't joined, share the video. riseofthemoors.org. Everybody needs to get this video out. If you are a YouTube content creator, you need to message me. I will get you in touch. We need to clip up this interview. Get the interviews. I'm going to put all the links in the description. Everything is going to be there. Right now, I only have my link in the description because I just lazily started this out. I had to shovel. But I promise you at the end of the stream, everything will be there. I need every person that has a Facebook, a Twitter, a text message, or an email. Share this video right now. We're going to be hammering this point every week until Jamal is free and vegan again.
So let me talk about this. Can I talk about this for a second?
Wait a second, Jamal. Can you tell Fake Mike that I'm going to leave the room, but I'm going to come back because if he has audio problems, I could probably come back in and fix that.
Okay. Brian said he's going to leave it and come back. So
What did he say?
He said he's going to leave and come back to try to fix the audio problem.
All right, cool.
One of my co-defendants, Quinn, he was thrown in a cell butt naked and denied showers. COs spit on him. Two of my co-defendants, Aban and Tarif, they had to go into a cell where someone committed suicide, clean up the blood, and then live in that cell. They were in solitary.
They cleaned it up?
Yeah, they made them clean it up, and then they made them live in that same cell. And they
Hold
kept
on,
them
you're
in
gonna repeat that
solitary
for Brian. You're gonna start over and repeat that for Brian. That is so illegal and so fucked up.
One of my co-defendants, Quinn, he's the eldest of us. I think he's in his 40s. He was thrown in a cell, butt naked, no clothes, no blankets. He was denied showers. COs would spit in his face. They kept calling him the N-word. They kept saying, get an attorney, nigger, or we're going to find you guilty. Another one of my co-defendants, two of them, Aban and Tarif, they had to clean up the mess of someone who committed suicide, clean up his blood, and then they were forced to live in that cell, and they were in solitary confinement the entire time. Another one of my co-defendants, Lucha, there was a CEO who was Puerto Rican. He said, because of what you did, your disrespect to all Puerto Ricans. And he made him eat last, and he made him beg for his food.
Eat glass?
Eat last. So last, L-A-S-T. So they would hand out the trays, and he would always be last, and he made him beg to get his prison food or his jail food.
Jamal, can I ask you to do something? And I'm sorry, and you've probably told this story a million times, but so that people can clip this video, can you start at the beginning on July 3rd, maybe even before when you got permission or whatever from Rhode Island government or whatever? Can you start from the very beginning and then include everything you just included about the people who were with you, what you had to go through, how long you had to go through it, just so people can clip it?
So
and I'll be quiet.
It's a little bit long.
Okay, that's cool.
I have a relative.
Before you go, Jamal, go ahead. Audit them. You joined. I need you to share this video. And when you share this video on your community tab, I need you to put start from the beginning. This is the most important story I've ever shared.
So we have a relative who owns 44 acres in Maine. The gun laws at the time to Rhode Island and Maine were a lot similar. And if I may say so, a little more lenient in Maine. I believe in Maine, you can own like semi or fully automatic weapons. You can't do that in Rhode Island. But as far as magazine sizes, they call them, they're standard 30-round magazines, but they call them high-capacity magazines for some reason. You can own that in Maine. You can open carry without a license in Maine. You can do a lot of things in Maine. So it just made sense for us to go to our relatives' land there to train, shoot targets, and things like that because the laws. Years ago, I ended up calling the sheriff of the town or of the city to see if it was okay for us to do that on my relative's land, which again was 44 acres. He said it was okay. I no longer have that phone. It was my wife's phone. That couldn't pay the bill, so we don't have that anymore. One of the first trips, we took Anna with us. Will knows Anna. We took Anna and her grandson to go just shoot targets. I was in the military. I loved it. I know how to shoot, so why not keep that skill like everybody else does on YouTube? We go up to Maine, we train, we come back. We go there again with another group of people, train, come back. That's it. We're just shooting targets. I'm teaching people how to BZO. I'm teaching them about shooting positions, about breathing techniques. Everything they taught me in the military, I'm just continuing to teach because once a Marine, always a Marine. At least that's what I thought. One
more interruption, Jamal. I'm sorry. For those of you watching on Facebook, I didn't have it on public. And you guys were trying to share, but it's now made public. So if on Facebook, you can share this video now and tell people to start from the very beginning. And guys, thanks for getting this out. I really appreciate you guys getting the word. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. My apologies. I'm shutting up.
And Jamal, real quick, just one thing, if you can keep it super succinct and just all the pertinent details, because I think it's important for people to listen to the entire thing. So go ahead.
So we had permission from the sheriff of whatever. It was like his home phone number. I left a voicemail, then he called me back. We had permission to do it, even though it was already okay to do it. I just wanted to make sure that the sheriff knew this is what's happening. It ended up becoming troublesome for us to keep traveling back and forth. So I looked up Rhode Island laws and seen that there was nothing prohibiting the open carrying of what's considered long arms. So a rifle, shotgun, sniper rifle, things like that. So I ended up, and this is all documented, us going to Maine to train, us in the woods training, that's documented. Us, me calling the Pawtucket police telling them my name, phone number, who I am, where we're going to be. That's also on the YouTube channel. That was documented. So we planned another training trip to Maine, like we've done 3 or 4 times already. This time, since we're traveling with so many people and more vehicles, before we just would take that transit van that they took from us, now we're taking this other vehicle, the Honda that we just purchased. Because there's a lot of us. There's 11 of us now. And we're taking 2 dogs. Both vehicles, the lead vehicle that I was in had gas in it, the gas cans, because it was around a 5-hour trip, and we weren't able to make that on 1 tank. So to avoid us having to stop at gas stations, obviously there's a lot of us. The color of our skin, we're going to Maine. Let's try to think. Let's be logistical. So we bring the gas cans with us because we weren't going to make it 5 hours there with the amount of weight in the vehicles, with all the camping gear. Everyone had a tent, sleeping bags. We had food, water, 2 dogs, all the ammunition, all of our gear. It weighed down the vehicles. I assigned someone to fuel up both vehicles. The lead vehicle wasn't filled all the way because that person just didn't do it. So as we're, into our travel, we realized, okay, well, we're going to have to stop either way to put gas in both cars because we're not going to be able to make it to Maine and go on this dirt road with just 1 tank of gas. So let's fill up. We stop. Then we see a vehicle behind us without any lights on, there's just regular white driver's lights. This is 1 a.m. It's slightly raining, so low visibility. We don't know who it was. There's no possible way to know who's behind you on the highway when it's 1 a.m. and slightly raining, and there was no police red and blue lights on, which Trooper Ryan Casey testified to that under oath during my motion to suppress hearing. He testified that he did not have his red and blue lights on, and he did not pull us over. We were already pulled over, and he didn't even know that there was a vehicle in front. So that's when you start to see from his body cam footage that they showed some of, where I walk up to him and I reach out to shake his hand once I seen as a cop. Right, because look, while I was in jail, that thing happened in New York where that guy killed 10 black people at a grocery store. And right before that, Dylan Roof went to a church and killed a bunch of black people. So it's not like we're just out here safe, Anyway, so I went to go see who it is. And part of our training protocol was once certain things happen, other people were going to do certain things. So if I get out first, everyone else gets out. Because that's just part of the protocol. Because if we're claiming we're part of a militia has to be well organized, and who's better fit to lead a militia than someone who has active duty military service. So there was contingencies in place if we were confronted by anybody trying to hurt us or anybody trying to do anything. So that's when you start to see people come out. What they showed on the news was we were just out on the highway with guns blocking traffic, and that's not what happened. So Trooper Ryan Casey comes up to us.
I'm sorry. This is why we have to counter this narrative, because if the media was actually doing their jobs, we wouldn't have a problem here. But they call it like, they basically, according to their story, Jamal, he's some type of terrorist, and he hasn't served this country. Maybe he does have a criminal record. Maybe according to them, they like just pull over in the middle of the highway and point guns at people. And it's completely the opposite of what's happened. It's all on video. This motherfucker didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah, so Trooper Ryan Casey shows up. He asks us what's going on. So it was allegedly, when we first got arrested, we were stopped. Then once it was time for the motion to suppress hearing, now it's community caretaking. So they changed their narrative. Under community caretaking laws in Massachusetts, as soon as the officer realizes that we don't need help, he's supposed to just let us go. Within 3 minutes, he tells us to sit tight. I have the full transcript. Some of the transcript is posted on my Instagram, where I asked him under oath, did you observe a crime? And he said he had probable cause or reasonable suspicion. There's Massachusetts law that specifies knowledge of firearms alone under the 4th Amendment does not raise reasonable suspicion or probable cause. So based off that alone, this should be dismissed. Anyway, within 3 minutes and 10 seconds, he tells us to sit tight. He goes back to his police cruiser. He mutes his body cam, and then he calls someone. And right before he mutes it, whoever answers says, "Hey, buddy." So it sounds like a personal call to me. Anyway, after a while, that's when the Wakefield police officer shows up. And mind you, I only know this after the fact, after I see the body cam footage. Because to me, it's, you came, you asked us what's going on. I told you we're going to Maine. We're trying to fill up this lead vehicle, and we're going to continue on our peaceable journey, which is allowable according to United States federal law. It's called peaceful journey laws. And there's case law in Massachusetts that says If you're traveling from one state to another and you're abiding by your home state's gun laws, you don't even have to consider the gun laws of the state you're traveling through because that's not your final destination.
It's all there in black and white. That alone, I mean, the Second Amendment alone, but that alone,
yeah,
you're not in jail. You're not dealing with this.
This is
right?
case law from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So, I'm giving you some of the things after the fact because I seen the body cam footage. At the time, I didn't know what was going on. You asked us what's going on. I told you. You were supposed to just let us go. I'm under the impression that they're going to let us go. Another officer shows up. The Wakefield police officer shows up. He was also in the Marines. I was in the Marines, so I try to relate to him on that manner because I'm just trying not to get murdered. I know what we look like. All the guys I'm with are so-called Black and Hispanic. I know what they look like, and I've just seen the statistics of my chances of dying. I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. So my arm is slung on my left-hand side. I'm right-hand dominant. I'm clearly not a threat. I found out later the police even said my interaction with them was cordial. So there was no type of any indication of any criminal activity whatsoever. The Wakefield police officer shows up. I see through body cam footage that they're talking behind Trooper Casey's vehicle. The Wakefield police officer within 13 minutes says, let them go. Trooper Casey says, these people are sovereign citizens. They're bearing arms. They're cordial. He's saying all this out of his own mouth. He says to the Wakefield police officer, so what do you think? The Wakefield police officer responds like this. He does it twice, which means let him go. He doesn't. He starts to interview people. I don't know why. He goes to the van. I follow him. I'm behind him. He's a little upset. I said, hold on. I'm just trying to make sure this guy is safe. One of my militia guys who's in the driver's seat, I said, I'm just trying to make sure he's safe because this ends bad a lot for us. He asked him questions. I said, you don't have to answer questions. He said, you're right. You don't. He goes to the other vehicle. And then the issue of do we have driver's licenses or not pops up. I say we do have licensed drivers. I'm under the impression that once you run these names and you see that they're licensed drivers, we can go. That's where I'm at the time. Obviously, in retrospect, I've seen all the body cam footage. That wasn't their plan. And then under oath, Trooper Ryan Casey testified under oath that he was stalling to get more officers on the scene. Not one time did he say we were under arrest. Not one time did he read us on Miranda rights. Not one time. So
Interruption. Now, the way this is supposed to work, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be chilling. I'm supposed to be enjoying. I should have my own house and a wife and kids by now. I don't. I should be chilling doing that. And then what's supposed to happen is the police officer, he takes a sacred oath before God and his countrymen to protect our rights. And he sees a guy, oh, what you guys doing? We're over here filling up gas. We're on our way to shoot some guns and barbecue up.
We're going to Maine. We're going to private land in Maine to train.
Whatever. But it doesn't make a difference what you're going to do. We're going up to, you don't have to tell them what to do, what you're doing. You don't even have to tell them in the first place, but you're saying, hey, we're going up, man. This is what we're doing. We're not bothering anybody. We're not causing any threat. The police should be like, all right, man, 4th of July. Hey, see you guys got some guns there. Hey, that's what started this country, right? Hey, thanks for training.
That's exactly what's happening. Hold on. But that's exactly what's happening. They're the second Wakefield officer shows up. He's also a former Marine. We start talking about supporting the Second Amendment. It seemed like this was going to end peacefully. That's what it seemed like. Then, I can't remember how long, maybe 50 minutes later, Sergeant McDevitt shows up. He's the one that said, if you weren't, bearing arms, I would have body slammed you to the ground. And I'm thinking, well, we didn't do anything. We didn't say anything wrong. We're not aggressive. I'm not shifty and shaking and scared and foaming at the mouth. It's none of that. This is a peaceful conversation. So what do you mean you would slam us to the ground? I ended up beforehand printing out some federal laws and some paperwork and some case law and the Miller versus Bonta, some of the decision from that, which says that we have the right to do this. I give that to the cops, to Trooper Ryan Casey. He puts it in his vehicle, doesn't even read it. I give him the names of the licensed drivers that we have. He doesn't even run them. He just calls for backup, which I didn't know at that time. When Sergeant McDevitt shows up, again, he threatens to throw us on the floor. He tells us to put down our arms, and I say, well, no, because clearly I'm not under arrest, so that's not a lawful command. You're not commanding me to do it. You're asking me to do it. And since this is a private conversation between two free people, my answer is no. Right? Yeah, I'm not under arrest. I'm not under investigation. So why are you telling me to do anything with my property? I find out later, that before Sergeant McDevitt even had a conversation with any of us, he called the STOP team, which is the Massachusetts State Troopers equivalent to SWAT. So before he even said, I believe you're in violation of any laws, before he even had a conversation with me, before he even looked at me, he had a conversation with Trooper Ryan Casey. Trooper Ryan Casey said these guys are in a militia. They're going up to Maine, and they're just putting fuel in their vehicles. That's all he knew at the time. He called the STOP team. This means we're already under arrest. It's called a de facto arrest. Look it up. He starts asking us questions. Do we have a license to keep arms? I say, in Rhode Island, you don't need one. And in Maine, you don't need one, which is where we're going. So we're from Rhode Island, which you don't need one.
And the case law. And the case law.
You don't even
That's
need
it.
one to buy one in Rhode Island. You just need to
And
pass
there's
the
case
state
law
and
in
federal background
Massachusetts.
check, right? And we're going to Maine, where you don't need a license to open carry. So we're only here because you're keeping us here, right? This would have been a temporary handling and holding of a firearm, which is legal in the state of Massachusetts. But Trooper Ryan Casey said out of his own mouth he was prolonging, so that way he can get more troopers there to arrest us. So then I asked them, what's your probable cause? Trooper Ryan Casey says out of his own mouth that he doesn't know. Sergeant McDevitt shrugs his shoulders. That was documented on our first hearing in Wakefield District Court, where Emily Carsetter found us dangerous, even though the police said that on the record. My wife's here to help.
Sorry. Earlier you said that you were stopped in Maine. You never made it clear.
Yeah,
that
I'm sorry.
You were going from Rhode Island to Maine, and you were stopped in Massachusetts.
Yeah, going from Rhode Island to Maine, stopped in Massachusetts, not stopped in Maine.
That's where
Yeah, I'm so glad your wife clarified that, because I was going to ask you about that. So when you were stopped in Maine, were you off the 95?
We were stopped in Massachusetts. Yes, we were off 95.
Yeah, Wakefield, Massachusetts. Okay, so
Yeah,
you were
Wakefield, Mass, yeah.
in Rhode Island, traveling through Massachusetts on your way to Maine, but they stopped you in Wakefield, Mass. Okay.
Well,
I think it was Route 93, though.
No, it was 95. We stopped.
Yeah.
We stopped to put gas in the front car.
Right, because
We weren't
90.
stopped.
You were traveling north on 93. You took an eastward turn on 95 through Wakefield, correct?
We were always on 95. So straight from Rhode Island, it's only 95. And there's a
Okay.
point where it splits into 93. We stayed on 95.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And then we stopped ourselves to put gas in the first vehicle near mile marker 57.
Okay.
And I probably messed things up because I'm talking fast. I'm trying to remember everything at once, and it's just all coming back. It's not something I think about on a daily basis. So McDevitt shows up, starts asking us questions. I still assume we can handle this peacefully and we can just be let go because we're not doing anything.
we weren't pulled over.
Yeah, we weren't pulled over. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have the transcripts from the motion to suppress hearing where Trooper Ryan Casey said that himself. We were not pulled over. We were not outside of the vehicles. Traffic was still flowing.
And let's just clear up those words a little bit, because not everybody understands. So you guys in the vehicles were pulled over, like you were stopped.
Yes,
to
we
put-
stopped
yes, hold on.
ourselves.
You were stopped to put gas in the car. The trooper came up behind you with his
Yeah.
regular lights on.
Yeah, regular
not,
white lights.
Not red and blue lights. Like
Yes.
you weren't getting pulled over. I just wanted to make that
Yeah, I
clear.
think I said
So
that in the beginning.
when you say we were stopped, but we weren't stopped, like
Okay.
I just don't want people
We
to think
stopped
that we're-
ourselves to put
Yeah.
gas in the vehicles. The police did not stop us.
Right.
Once our vehicles were already stopped, Trooper Ryan Casey, with no red and blue lights on, none whatsoever, which he testified under oath during the motion to suppress hearing, which I have the transcripts, he said he did not have his red and blue lights on, and we were not already outside of the vehicles. He wasn't even aware that there was a second vehicle in front of the Ford Transit van. So McDevitt shows up. He starts asking us questions. I ask him, what's their probable cause? Trooper Ryan Casey, out of his own mouth, says, I don't know. On the body camera footage, Sergeant McDevitt shrugs, which means I don't know. An hour in, they had already stopped traffic going north. There was still some traffic going south. I walked into the street and tried to wave down to the other vehicles traveling south. Help! We don't know what the hell's going on. Right? So they stopped traffic. I was in the military. I try to pay attention to my surroundings. I noticed they stopped traffic. At this point in time, we got stopped at 1. There's a lot of people that live in Rhode Island and work in Massachusetts. So this highway should be packed. So I say, okay, guys, go into the tree line, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to just start shooting us. I have no idea. So to keep people alive, I say, go into the tree line, because we're wearing camouflage. If they start shooting at us, it's going to be hard for them to do because we're in the tree line. And, the divider, I figured that metal would be some type of cover if they started shooting at us, because there's been plenty of times where the police just start shooting. In fact, there's been several reports done in court where within seconds the police just shoot. So I realize we're being surrounded. McDevitt or somebody announces over the loudspeaker, we're under arrest. I say, what's your probable cause? They don't say anything. So at first, when I asked them an hour ago, they said they don't know. An hour later, I asked them, what are we under arrest for? They stay quiet. I asked them a third time. I can't remember how long, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 50 minutes. I was there for 11 hours, so it's hard to tell. What are we under arrest for? Then they said for unlicensed possession of a firearm. And then I just kept saying, no. What did we do? How did we get to this point? Let us go. Give us a ticket and we'll show up to court. I kept saying, I reassured them, we're not sovereign citizens. We're not domestic terrorists. We're not black identity extremists. We're not anti-government. We're not anti-police. We're not going to escalate things. We're not pointing anything at you. Please don't point anything at us. Because at this time, they're 40 yards in front of me. 100 yards behind me, there's an armored vehicle blocking traffic going in that direction. I assume there's more police on the side streets at this time. Eventually, a New Hampshire police vehicle shows up. And then I was arrested for disorderly conduct. That's what it says on my arrest report. And that was essentially it. They blocked traffic. They stopped traffic. They escalated everything. There's body cam footage of the Wakefield police officer telling Trooper Casey to let us go. McDevitt called the stop team before he even said we were under arrest. So
Wikipedia, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for this. It says Wakefield standoff. They're actually calling this a standoff.
Yeah,
giving the indoctrinated masses the impression that, oh my God, the rise of the Moors was, pointing their weapons at the police, and there was this huge altercation. It wasn't even like that at all, huh?
It wasn't like that at all. Nope.
Keep in mind too, there's something important to keep in mind for anybody that doesn't know kind of the backstory on this too. Jamal had been working before myself and like at the same time as myself, but we didn't know about each other. And then we're introduced by a fellow activist. Shout outs to Judy, who's a beast, one of the best activists out there. She can't sing, never sing again at a protest, Judy. And Jamal was already trying to work on the DCYF case. He was already educating the community. He was already doing food drives, giving out food and all this shit. He was already doing this.
Yeah.
The problem was, while he was doing this, okay, so then I'm not going to get to all the details, but there's two bits of details here. One is me, Jamal, a whole bunch of other people. It was the most diverse protest I've ever went to. We probably had about 30 to 40 people there for Rhode Island. That's a lot. We had Moors there. We had people from Brown University. We had social workers. We had people of all races, colors, and creeds. We had people that were in the system, out of the system, people that have been affected, had their children taken away illegally by this.
Yeah.
And so we
do
this.
Let me pause you. Even remember that Providence police officer that pulled up and asked us what we were doing. He said, "I support you guys," and then he escorted us to the State House
on video. And so we went. First, we protested in front of the Garrahy Court, where they illegally steal kids every day. And then we went to DCYF. And then that police officer at some point was like, "Yo, we fuck with you." And then we went all the way to the State House. We went to the State House. We were protesting. And of course, Gina Raimondo was I think she was actually there, or I'm not sure, but she was shook as fuck. And basically, we're just there protesting, though. We're not doing anything wrong. I've been in the State House a million times. Jamal, I believe, had been there before. We're all peaceful. I don't have a criminal record. Jamal doesn't have a criminal record. We're here saying, hey, stop losing and kids dying, right? Can you guys stop that? You guys are supposed to be the ones protecting. Can you guys just do that, right? So I'm there, and at the end of the day, you guys know me. I get animated and I get uppity, right? And so I'm over there talking shit to this one cop who's seen me, who's let me talk.
You weren't talking shit. You was asking questions, and you got.
I was asking questions, and I did talk shit a little bit too. I'm not gonna lie, right?
I
said some shit.
That's not talking shit. You were commenting on a fact.
Later on, but I did insult this one cop because I knew him before, and he wrote some bullshit about me in a police report, which is a side story. Anyways, so there's this other cop who is wearing a suit, plain clothes, and I say, hey, I asked him multiple times on this video, hey, are you a police officer? Hey, if you're a police officer, you have to identify yourself. Yeah, you have to let me know that you're a police officer. So I'm going. And then at that point, there's, because we've had this protest, I don't know who they are. I can look them up, but they're two high-ranking people in the Providence police, and they're inside the State House. And we're in the main...
They were state troopers. They were state troopers.
No, there were state troopers, but there were also Providence police there. But the state trooper is the one that arrested me. And so what happens is these two, I'm almost positive they're Providence police officers. It could have been state. I don't know. I'm going to look back, but I'm pretty sure those guys are Providence. So they try to go like whisper to each other's ear. Meanwhile, we're in the hallway. There's a bunch of cops there. We're in the main hallway of the State House. And I get a little bit closer. I'm not in their personal space, but they're trying to have a personal conversation. You can't go to your car. You can't have a personal conversation out in the middle of the State House, bro. And so this triggers the other guy that didn't tell me he was a cop. He grabs me out of nowhere, arrests me. On the way out, Jamal's wife is asking questions. Hey, why are you arresting him? He didn't do anything wrong. Why are you grabbing him? Are you a cop? Shit like that. She follows the officer outside. I get arrested by the state police. I get in the back of the car. It's not until 2 hours later when I'm in jail when they tell me what my charges are. Disorderly conduct and resisting, which I did not do. And then funny thing, this all happened literally the week before that thing that happened that shut down the whole country. Don't say that word on this channel, by the way, boys. And so that happened, right? I still have trial for this. I'm still dealing with this. My next court date is 2 weeks later. 2 weeks from now. Today, 4 years later, I'm still dealing with this. But this is where the weird shit starts happening. So that happens. Then, I don't know, a week or two later, the violent, what was the name of that thing?
Violent Fugitive Task Force.
Yeah, the Rhode Island Violent Fugitive Task Force shows up in plain clothes, looking like crackheads, knocking on the door to Jamal's house, right? They're not officers dressed officers. First of all, why is the Violent Fugitive Task Force after Jamal? Jamal is not violent. He's never been violent. He doesn't have a criminal record. He's not a fugitive. He doesn't have a criminal record, and he hasn't committed any crimes. And he's not wanted for any crimes. So why are they at his house? Why aren't they dressed as officers? They come up. I'll let Jamal tell you, but basically they go in there. they say we got a warrant. They like, show me the warrant after it's a whole crazy convoluted mess. But they end up fucking arresting these guys after that. Then I remember Jamal mentioning to me, yo, the feds is watching me or something like that. And Jamal can elaborate on this. And then separately, somebody told me, yo, be careful, Will, the feds is watching you. So, the reason I say all that is because I feel like the Wakefield officer, he was just going to let you go. All these other people, like whatever, maybe not. But at the end of the day, they were like, ooh, look what we found. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Yeah, hang on right there, Bucko. That's my interpretation of this all.
Yeah, I feel like that's what happened. So from the State House, they somehow found my wife's address. When you walk into the State House, it's not like you sign in. So how they got her name, I don't know. Why I was even mentioned when they charged her with like assaulting 8 state troopers in the State House, but she wasn't arrested that day, but you were. And on the State House camera footage, there's no evidence of her hitting anyone. So they came to serve a misdemeanor warrant for her. I'm going to interrupt you again.
I've been good for a little while. Put this in your mind. I am at the State House. I'm protesting. I don't have a violent record. I've never called for violence. I don't have any criminal record. I'm there protesting for the DCUI, for the kids that are effed up in DCUIF, right? I get arrested for speech. On the way out, Juju's filming me on her video, on my video, on the multiple State House videos, on the other activist videos that are there. At no point whatsoever does she touch anybody. She's free to go. And if she really assaulted a police officer that day, surely
she would have been arrested.
She would have been arrested because I was arrested for freedom of speech.
There was 15 of them there.
And then 2 weeks later, the violent, does Juju have a criminal record? No. The violent, is she a fugitive? No. Has she ever called for violence? No. The Violent Fugitive Task Force shows up to serve a fucking misdemeanor to your house, and they're not dressed as cops.
No, they sent someone to
Everybody
the
share
door.
this fucking video right now. Share this video right now. They want to bully this guy. They want to bully our rights. They do this every day. Here's the deal. Everyone go like, share, and subscribe to Here's the Deal. She showcases it every fucking day, multiple times a day. I'm standing on this. We're not letting this happen. What is Fake Mike Real News about? We are about creating a more altruistic world through nonviolence in the Socratic method. Right now, these racist cops and racist judges are trying to put a so-called black man in prison for 88 years when we've listed up and down right now that he did nothing wrong. And he's not a criminal. He doesn't have a criminal record. He's a father. Hopefully we can get this over with so me and Jamal can do a comedy, a black and white comedy duo, right? Yeah, right. That would never happen. But that's what should be. We should be doing a prank. Jamal should be raising his family and teaching people, right?
Jamal,
But
your wife's name is.
that's not what's happening.
Your wife's
Julissa,
name.
yeah.
Your wife's name is Juju.
Oh, that's her nickname. Her first name is Julissa.
And she was recording Fake Mike Real News on the courthouse steps.
No, so we were inside the state house. Will
Okay.
was arrested. She was with another group of people.
What was
up the
this date?
hallway.
What date was that? Does everybody know? Was this before or after the incident with you?
This is February. This is the end of February in 2020. I can't tell you the exact date. I could look it up. I'll look it up right now, but it's literally the end of February of 2020. It's the last week of February. I want to say the 23rd.
All right, I just wanted to contextualize that. So she's out there recording all you guys, and then she gets visited by the Violent Fugitive Task Force.
Yeah.
And how many days after the recording event did this happen?
Around 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And so in the warrant for her, which I still haven't seen, I've only seen the affidavit to apply for the warrant. Haven't actually seen the warrant ever. It says that since I'm an associate of her, and they were debriefed. They didn't say who they were debriefed by. They were debriefed on who I was, as if I'm somebody. I'm a nobody. So that's when I started to make connections. Oh, the FBI is watching me, because how else did they get this address? How else do they know who I am? How else do they know what my wife's name is when all we did was walk to the state house and then go home? So how did you get any of our personal information? And then we have a friend in Connecticut where the FBI went to his house and was speaking to his daughter, asking about me in Connecticut. And then another friend of mine, he was arrested in Massachusetts. They asked him if I kicked him out of Rhode Island. The FBI asked him if I kicked him out of Rhode Island. I was like, that doesn't even make sense. What authority do I have to kick anyone out? So other people have confirmed that the FBI was asking them about me. I've never threatened anyone. I never hurt anyone. I don't call for the overthrowing of anything. I don't call for a coup of anything. I don't call for violence against anyone. I talk about self-defense.
Hey, I just put in the live stream a link to a video by CBS Boston entitled Mass State Police Update, 11 people arrested after stop on I-95 in Wakefield. Have you seen, it's a 14-minute, 42-second video. Have you seen that? I'm sure you've seen them all, right?
No, I haven't, because for a while, it just gave me a lot of anxiety to watch. To read, and to just even looking at body cam footage, I would shake. Not out of fear, just, I don't know. I can't explain what it was.
Do you know what I would like to do? Maybe we could have you and I could have a live stream so that we can just encapsulate all this stuff. Maybe we can do a live stream. Yeah. With Fake Mike Real News too, but just maybe do a commentary video on these cops giving this news briefing on the side of the highway, because it'd be interesting. See, I think a lot of this stems from two things: the lies from law enforcement and the lies from fake stream CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra Media. Because I'm convinced, after having done years of research on this, they seem to be working in cahoots together.
Absolutely.
And if the cops can get with mainstream media to paint some kind of narrative to make you out to be this formidable militia, and if we don't put you down, then society won't be safe. Yeah. I think that's what's going on here. And the judge and jury are likely to be mentally infected with this idea that mainstream's put out. Absolutely. So what we really got to do is get with the popular YouTube channels. I would definitely say Audit the Audit and Lackluster are the biggest among us, if not Long Island Audit, and get these people in on, going to bat for you. Because if we can get millions upon millions of eyes, we could probably keep you out of jail. I have a couple questions. Okay, so the Wikipedia page says that 10 were arrested, and one that was taken into custody was a child. Was there a child there too?
No. So according to federal law, the appropriate age for militia service is 17 years old. He was
Okay.
17 years old. His mother knew who he was with. The person he was with was 30, and that was technically his guardian.
Okay.
So they're saying he's a minor because they're trying to charge us with improper storage of a firearm where a minor has access. But the federal law clearly specifies that the proper age for militia service is 17 years old. And then it mentions the organized militia, which is the Navy, Air Force, Army, Marines, and then the unorganized militia. Well, if the organized militia is Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, who's the unorganized militia? Everybody else.
Right.
So 17 is the legal age for militia service. He was 17 years old.
It's interesting how Wikipedia. I'm going to quote the last Wikipedia sentence on the lead paragraph. The standoff lasted several hours and resulted in 11 arrested, 10 of whom are adults and 1 child. Now, if we're talking about a minor who's 16 or 17 years old, that is not a child. So it's crazy that they say.
And we had 2 dogs with us.
Yeah, what did they do with the dogs? Did they confiscate
They
them?
impounded them, and then my wife, thank God, found them and was able to have them. But we had to give them up for adoption because we had my dog and my co-defendant Teresa's dog. She was by herself at home with my 3-month-old daughter and these 2 dogs. So she had to give up the dogs, unfortunately.
Did anybody?
And my bird died, and my grandmother died.
Man, I am so it's so hollow for me to say I'm so sorry all this stuff happened to you. And it enrages me that every single American doesn't get on board with this kind of stuff, educate themselves and do the research to tear back the veil of the misinformation by mainstream media and put ourselves in your shoes. Because you know what, it doesn't matter what people think about MLK. One of the things that he said was, when injustice happens anywhere to one man anywhere, and that's you. This is happening to you. It's going to happen to me. I am you. You are me. And we need to own this whole thing, because if we don't, man, the injustice system is going to continue to steamroll over us.
If anyone has heard me argue in court, I argue multiple times about everybody that has been sent to prison for exercising their Second Amendment right when the courts knew it was an individual right. And they made the argument and they went to prison anyway. That's bullshit. What is every single person in the Marines for then?
Exactly. Or any branch of the military, or an American, or any
I'm only saying Marines because I was in the Marines, and we're told a certain narrative to support and defend this Constitution and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The problem is none of us have ever read it.
And you said, did you say that one of the troopers who was involved in this stop was a fellow Marine?
Several of them were. Even the lieutenant that interviewed me had a conversation with my dad. He was also a former Marine, and he told my dad, "Oh, we knew he wasn't going to do anything wrong to anybody."
See, this is such a psyop, because as I hate to continue to sound like a broken record, but smiling tyranny is still tyranny. Professional tyranny is still tyranny. And when cops play this game fast and loose with our rights, it reminds me of that roadside stop in Nevada, where the Nevada Highway Patrol stopped a Marine named Stephen Lara and stole his life savings as he's going to help his daughters. And 2 of the cops said, "Oh yeah, hoorah, I'm a fellow Marine too." But they continue to conduct this civil asset forfeiture stop. It's like you let your guard down. It's like, oh, a fellow brother, he'll understand. I'm clear.
They don't care.
Yeah, exactly. They don't care. What is going on, man?
And that's the same exact thing I thought. I was like, oh, all these Marines around me, they know. No, they don't care. Is there any way I can turn my camera around? Because I have the transcripts here. I sent the DM to you, Will, on Instagram of the transcripts for the motion to suppress hearing where Trooper Casey said certain things. I just want to be able to turn the camera around so everyone can see it. So that way they know it's not me just making it up. It's actual transcripts.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys, the problem is my laptop kind of fucked up and I can't share screen. Maybe one of you guys could share screen. So I'm operating my tablet. Yeah, this story needs national news. And I want to say thanks to Todd.
I can flip it.
Okay, flip it. And listen, guys, Jamal or this information is going to be on my channel every single week. So we're going to get all the lead.
Yeah. Hey, Fake Mike Real News. Can you just put his square on the screen so that it's bigger?
I think so. Hold on. And yeah, thanks to Todd for helping put this on. And then let me just see what I can do here. Layout. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. How do we pick just Jamal's screen though? Share the video, guys. Please share this video. How do we do that? I don't know. I don't think we can on this tab, but I'm sorry, Brian. Listen, I'm gonna continue to do this shit, but shit. This is what this.
So I can be as detailed as possible. So if
Yeah,
people
just go ahead. I mean, look, and all this is accessible on your Instagram. Say your Instagram 3 times.
It's right
and
there, riseofthemoors.org.
It's official _ Rise of the Moors, official _ Rise of the Moors, official. So you guys pull up and go over there, give them a subscription, give them a comment, let them know that the Fakest of All Mike sent you, and you can read along there, pull it up. My apologies, I just ran into some technical difficulties today, so this for the next one, I promise we'll have everything be able on the normal StreamYards because I purchased StreamYards
and it was posted October 2022, so you have to scroll down.
Okay.
Right, so this is the transcript. Commonwealth of Massachusetts Superior Court, docket number 2181 CR 00361. This hearing was May 10th, 2022. Courtroom 630, Woburn, Massachusetts. The judge was James Boudreau, Budreau. So that's the court, the docket number, the day, the courtroom, and the judge. So anyone should be able to find that. Right? And this is Trooper Casey under oath. He said, I was trying to gather information from everyone, and I was essentially stalling until we get, more people there to logistically take these people into custody while also gathering information. Why would you need to take us into custody to gather information? So you're stalling. Here's it. So my cross-examination starts on page 44. There's 124 pages, right? So this is him sworn under oath. Trooper Casey, when you were speaking to the defendant on the side of the road, did there come a time where he introduced himself to you and gave you a name? He gave the name Jamal, right? And I said that because I'm being charged with furnishing a false name after arrest, right? So following arrest, that's the Massachusetts law. But I gave him my name before I was arrested. So how can I be charged with that? Here's continuing. This is on page 60. So at several points in time in the video, you said, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Is that an investigation? His answer at line number 4, I was trying to figure out what was going on, what was with the rifles. I mean, and then my question on line 6, is that an investigation? Line 7A, I would say that's an investigation, yes. They did not read us our Miranda rights. So we were under active investigation. We didn't know, and they didn't read us our rights. Right, and this screenshot is a picture of James Boudreau denying that we were under investigation and that we were not detained. How are we under? It's called an investigative detention. How are we under investigation but we're not detained? And then here's investigative detention. Here's another portion of the transcript. Line number 9. My question to Trooper Ryan Casey: can you tell me what a sovereign citizen is? His answer at line 10A. Generally speaking, it's a group of people that seem to go against U.S. laws, that feel that they don't follow or they don't need to follow U.S. laws. Then I said, at any point in time, did I specify that I feel like I don't need to follow U.S. laws? He said, yeah, I would say so, because when Sergeant McDevitt said, what if I say you are in violation of the law? You just kept saying you would need to have probable cause. Then he said, what if I had probable cause? And then, you objected to that. So I would say that's, feeling that you don't need to follow the law. Then I show that probable cause is needed for an arrest. So if telling a cop that you need probable cause for an arrest makes you a sovereign citizen, that means anybody that believes in the Constitution is a sovereign citizen.
Yep, exactly.
Here's it continued. This is on page, it just says 5, so 50 something. They objected, the prosecutor objected, the court sustained it, and I asked, did my behavior indicate any criminal activity? He said, you were holding a rifle, a long weapon, on Route 95, so I'd say yes. My question, and you're familiar with Massachusetts laws, correct? He said, I'm familiar with Massachusetts law. Then I said, so you are aware that in Commonwealth versus Lindsay, that was a typo, they specified that the mere possession of a firearm does not indicate criminal activity. And then the court objected. And then here's the case law. Commonwealth versus Alvarado, Supreme Court of Massachusetts. Carrying a gun is not a crime. Under the 4th Amendment, the mere possession of a handgun was not sufficient to give rise to a reasonable suspicion that the defendant was illegally carrying that gun. right? Carrying a handgun is not necessarily a crime, and thus there was no probable cause to search a vehicle. Here's more transcripts. Did I threaten you at any point in time? You did not. You didn't deliberately threaten me at any time. Did I point anything at you or any other officers at any point in time? No. Did I attempt to flee at any point in time? Not while I was there. Not while I was on the scene. No. When you said you observed a van pulled over in the breakdown lane, is that correct? Yes. Did you see anybody outside of the vehicle at that time? When I decided to stop? No. You didn't see anyone outside of the vehicle? No. And then this is where I asked the judge if they're going to review all the video footage from the beginning to the end, and he said, unfortunately, I am. So obviously there's prejudice against me. And I've done several videos on this, because why are you upset that you have to do your job? I've done several videos on this where I read the actual transcript more extensively. This is just what I posted on Instagram, but this short little bit clearly shows that everything they said was a lie.
Of the officers who were out there, Jamal, what percentage of them were wearing and had activated body cams? Do you know?
I don't know. There was 109 officers there, according to one piece of discovery that I got from the prosecutor's office. And that doesn't include the New Hampshire State Police that were there. And
you do have body camera footage in your possession?
Not in my possession. So they gave me discovery on a hard drive that I left, that they didn't give me when I left jail.
So they didn't give it to you when you left jail?
So when I was in jail, they gave me the discovery, but when I was released, I didn't get it. They didn't return it to me as a free man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did they say why? Did you ask for it?
No, when I went to the jail to get my stuff, all they had was like the commissary and the mail that I had in the cell. So they didn't give me the hard drive.
And do they still have the van that they took from you?
Yeah, they have both vehicles, all the camping gear, all the food, everything. They have everything.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is also civil asset forfeiture because they took your stuff.
Yeah.
Man, okay. Where can I find a copy of the document you were just going over?
I don't have it scanned.
Okay.
It's 124 pages, so I'm not sure how I would be able to do that.
I think you can create a PDF file, but I wonder if it would be advantageous for people to have that so they can take a look at it.
So I read the docket number, the judge, the courtroom, and the date. So anyone should be able to call the clerk's office and get a transcript from that day.
Okay.
And I don't know if they'll give you the evidence that was entered into the record, but they played some of the body cam footage. They were supposed to play all of it, but they didn't, of Trooper Casey's body cam footage that day. So you should be able to see it. And there was a website. There was actually a separate group of Moors that posted Trooper Casey's body cam footage. And they posted it to say I was an FBI agent and things like that, and they slandered me and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure the entire footage is out there somewhere.
So not only do we have to tell your story, but we got to kind of cut through some misinformation as well, right?
Yeah, they called me an FBI agent, even though there's people that allegedly have written statements about me and the court ordered that I can't say who it is, or they're going to charge me with witness intimidation. So if I was an agent, why would that be used? Why would I have that against me?
Yeah.
If he was an agent, if Jamal was an agent,
why would he be in jail for a year?
Why would he be in jail for a year? If Jamal was an agent, why would the feds be looking at him? If Jamal was an agent, why would people be breaking into his house? Why would they be arresting his wife? Why would the violent fugitive why would not only people tell Jamal he's watching the feds, but the feds are watching him, but people call me saying, hey, yo, Will, I can't tell you how, but because you're hanging out with the Moors, the feds are watching. I was like, these motherfuckers should have been watching me, yo. I went to Bill Gates' house, George Bush's house, like in front of all these fools. What the hell? I guess it's some real racist feds out here. Yeah, so it's crazy. Because that's what and there's infighting in every movement, of course, too, even in our own movement here.
There, with that movie Judas and the Black Messiah, and if you go to Senate.gov and look up the
COINTELPRO
papers, the Church Committee of 1975, they've documented all this stuff, that this is what they actively do to everybody that they consider a threat to their national security. They do this to everybody.
Ian Cobedog is asking, can you repeat the case number?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me pull it up.
Let me read some comments because none of us is greater than all of us, and maybe somebody out there has a question that we haven't asked yet. Ian Cope's dog says this story is incredible. Operation Mockingbird is going on. Yeah, their lust for power will always trump their desire for freedom. Amen, Tennessee, Kentucky. Or who said that? Oh, Red Cox said that.
Why can't I find it? Now I have to scroll all the way back down.
It's interesting what you got him to admit on the documentation you just showed us from your Instagram account, though.
Yeah, that was my cross-examination
Right.
during the motion to suppress hearing, because my argument was, my rights were violated, and then Trooper Casey under oath confirmed that. But
I wish there was a way, Mike, that we could put this video up of the Massachusetts State Police update on the day this was happening, because this looks like it was.
We can do that. Hey, Mellows, can you join back up and do that for us, please? If you guys are just watching, he's already here. He's amazing. By the way, I'm going to take a quick minute to do some housekeeping. Thank you, General Brian, for addressing the comments. Thank you, Todd, for making this happen. Mellows, thanks for joining. If anybody doesn't know Mellows, Eyes in the Audit, go check him out. He's the beast. He's a legend behind the scenes, man, and he's super humble. Everyone, check out Brian. Here's the deal. And what I'm going to do right now, while we play this video, and I believe the link is backstage for Mellows, is I'm going to update the description while we speak with all of the information to this case, because I didn't have it ready, but I'm going to put it in the description right now. So
you read my mind, man. That's exactly what I was going to request.
I'm going to show you some of the things that.
Sorry, what do you want me to do?
So here's my arrest report. My hair looks crazy, so I'm not going to show that. But that's my arrest report. I was arrested for disorderly conduct.
Okay.
Here's the latest order that I got from Judge Deacon denying my motion to dismiss. So the docket number is 2181 CR 00361.
And that's the docket number?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you give me a second, I'll be able to find the actual transcript from the motion to suppress hearing, as opposed to just pictures from Instagram.
All right. And Mike, I put that docket number in the backstage comment section for you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jamal, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Do you think any of this has to do with the link between Moors and Islam, and people freak out about Islam sometimes?
I think it just has to do with the counterintelligence program and how it's just continuing. I do believe that, they've branched that off to Islam and stuff like that. So that's a possibility, but I think that's more so of they're able to justify it because of the fear of Islam, as opposed to just, the Black Identity Extremist list that was a continuation of the FBI COINTELPRO that got leaked. So then they had to change it to racially motivated identity extremists. So it's just, I just know it's related to the counterintelligence program. I know that.
Right. Hey, Mellows, can you take the link that I put in the chat, the StreamYard chat, and put the video up so we can comment on that? It's a link to the press briefing that the cops did while this incident was going on or immediately after.
Yeah. So if anybody watches what the media was saying, and then watch the YouTube live video that I recorded to make sure that, they didn't just murder me without proof, you'll see that what they were saying in the news and what was actually happening was completely the total opposite.
Right. And I imagine that's what we're going to see right now with this press briefing with these troopers. But of the 10 adults who are out there, how many of you guys were recording? Is there a bunch of
it was me recording, and Tarif was recording on his old Instagram. I'm not sure what the name of that Instagram is, but here's the actual transcript from the motion to suppress hearing. And you'll see on page 44, everything I had underlined in red, it's here. So it's not fake. Here's, again, the docket number. Here's the date of the hearing, May 10th, 2022. So if anyone wants to call the clerk to get a copy of this transcript because you'll see blatantly the police didn't have any probable cause or reasonable suspicion whatsoever. And then if you can get a copy of the initial body cam footage, you'll see that within 3 minutes, not even within 3 minutes, I think it was like 1 minute and 10 seconds, Trooper Ryan Casey said, "Sit tight." So, and you'll see where I asked him under oath. Let me see if I can find it, but I'll talk while I'm looking through it. Under oath, I asked, between the moment you seen us and the moment you told us to sit tight, did you observe any criminal activity? And he said he had probable cause. And that probable cause is only based off of the fact that he observed arms. But again, there's case law from the Supreme Court of Massachusetts that says knowledge of firearms alone does not raise probable cause nor reasonable suspicion under the Fourth Amendment. So there had to be something else. And he never says there was anything else. Never. So the Wakefield police officer was Sergeant Burnham. And I'll read some of it just so you can see when I said, did you speak to the other police officer? And he said, let them go, with his body hand, his hand arm signals, right? So this is page 48. So this is me asking the question. When you see Q, that's me asking. When you see A, that's Trooper Ryan Casey under oath answering. Can you please state who the second Wakefield, I believe he was Wakefield.
Mellows, can you full screen Jamal, please?
He said, it was Sergeant Burnham. At a certain point in time, did you ask him, so what do you think? Answer by Trooper Ryan Casey, I did. Question, did he then respond with the universal hand and arm signal of shooing away, as in letting them go? He said, he did that motion, yes.
Wow.
And then he said, and then you then responded with the question, yeah? Answer, I said that, yes. Question, and then he responded again with the shooing motion. And I made the sound because he said, that's exactly what he did. And I did that in court. And he went like that, make sound. That's me making the sound. As in a letting them go motion. Answer, I don't know what he was trying to say by him shooing away. Then he started to lie.
Yeah.
So then my question was, so you don't understand what this means? And then I did the motion again. Is that what you're saying? The shooing motion? You don't know what that means? Answer, yeah, but shooing away could mean numerous things. Like, then my question. So have you ever told someone to get away from you and kind of made a limp wrist and put it forward as in away from you? Have you ever done that? What did that mean? Answer, I probably have at some point, yeah. Question, what did you mean by that? Answer, get away from me. So everyone knows what this means. Shoo.
Yep.
So when you're a state trooper asking the Wakefield police officer, so what do you think? And he goes like this, come on, what are we here for? How are we still being charged? Then I asked if I threatened him. He said no. So since knowledge of firearms doesn't raise reasonable suspicion, there had to be something else. I didn't threaten him. I didn't try to flee. I didn't point anything at anybody. Right? So again, what I read on Instagram, did you see anybody outside of the vehicles at that time? When I decided to stop, no. Did you see, you didn't see anyone outside of the vehicle? No. So when you pulled up behind us, there was no one out on the highway already? No. And then I continued to say, let the record reflect that during the 58A hearing, which is the dangerousness hearing, the prosecutor alleged that we were already on the highway armed, which is why Trooper Casey, and then he objected. Then the court said, I'm going to strike it from the record. This is page 52. Did my behavior indicate any criminal activity? You were holding a rifle, a long weapon on Route 95, so I'd say yes. And obviously I read this already. And you're familiar with Massachusetts laws, correct? He said, I'm familiar with Massachusetts law. So then I said, are you aware that in Commonwealth versus Lindsay, they specified that mere possession of a firearm did not indicate criminal activity. It also specifies that carrying a firearm may be lawful in certain necessitated circumstances. Then there was an objection that was sustained. Why don't they want their own Commonwealth case law on the record?
Yes, exactly.
Then this is where I asked them about the sovereign citizen stuff.
Yeah, what's the objection? Objecting to what? Objecting to established case law that they're supposed to be following? Sustained. What? Sustained. Let's keep that out of the record because, you know, if this guy's truly innocent, we don't want any evidence to prove that he is. This is ridiculous, man.
Yeah. Did you specify that it was around 1 a.m., correct? Just after 1 a.m. Would you say it was low visibility? I would say it was around low visibility. So there was no way for us to see him. Then I said, so if a vehicle were to approach you from the rear with just their headlights on, would you be able to properly identify that vehicle? Objection, sustained. So there was no way for us to know that he was a cop behind us. So this is where he said he was trying to figure out what was going on and that it was an investigation. Then I said, are you aware that you would need reasonable suspicion to start an investigation? The prosecutor objected and it was sustained. So he said we were under investigation. This is Trooper Ryan Casey's sworn under oath testimony in court, where he said we were under investigation. And if you watch the entire body cam footage, you will never, ever see them read us any of our Miranda rights, ever. Yet we were under investigation. Which means everything I said is being used against me, and I had no idea. I had no idea I was under investigation. Then I said, what about my behavior was disorderly? He answered, I would say standing out in the highway when being told not to stand out in the highway and to put your firearm down is disorderly. Then I asked, okay, so what law says that the people have to follow orders given by police when they are not under arrest? The prosecutor objected. The court sustained the objection. Then the court said, I understand your argument, sir. We can move on to the next. So they didn't want... I want to see where... Okay, let me read this. This is page 67. Again, there's 124 pages. I'm not going to read all 124. This is my question. So you suspected unlawful activity, but you didn't see any criminal activity. You didn't observe any. The prosecutor objected. The court asked, can you repeat the question again? My question. You suspected criminal activity, but you didn't see any. You didn't observe any or witness any criminal activity. The prosecutor objected. The court
was it sustained? Wait, was it sustained? Oh yeah, okay.
Then I said, so I'm trying to specify. I didn't have, obviously in court, I was stammering a little bit, so that's what you're seeing here. So some of this doesn't make sense sometimes. Again, this was real life, me arguing for myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have the minutes in front of me. So by the time you approached the van and you encountered me, between that point and the point where you said sit tight and turned around, you didn't observe any criminal activity. Is that correct? The prosecutor objected. The court finally overruled the objection.
Good.
He answered. So this is him testifying to the criminal activity that he's seen, right? I saw someone holding a firearm on the side of the road. I wanted to further the investigation to ensure that you had, in fact, broken the law. The court. Okay. He continued by asking, Do you have a permit? You know, getting people there because I felt outnumbered, and then I interrupted. So after that point, I was under investigation. Answer. After the point that I told you to sit tight? Question. Yes. Oh, excuse me, that's me. Yeah, after you said sit tight, because you believed you wanted to investigate that. After that point, I was under investigation. Is that correct? Answer. I would say I had suspicion that a crime was taking place at that point. Question. So at that point, was I free to leave? Objection. Overruled. Answer. I mean, you never ended up leaving, so I can't say what I would have done at that point. I had yet to tell you you were being detained. But I was under investigation. The court asked and answered. So I was under investigation. They didn't read me my rights. And there's if anyone does a lick of research, anytime anyone has fled the scene of a cop, multiple times people have been shot in the back. Right? So we can see from here, as soon as he seen me, he investigated me. But when you do the research on Commonwealth of Massachusetts case law, they clearly specify that knowledge of a firearm alone does not give cause to reasonable suspicion or probable cause. And the only thing he said on the record under oath is that he's seen firearms. Not he's seen firearms and there was a kid crying. He's seen firearms and we just got a call on the radio that there was a robbery or there was a shooting. Nothing. And I believe this is, towards the end. I don't think there's anything more significant after this point.
All right, guys, listen, I have to unfortunately get ready for work.
Hold on, right here. This is where I asked him.
No, we got time. Take your time. Take your time.
When you approach our vehicle, did you have your police lights on? Excuse me. I'm not sure what they're called. Your red and blue lights activated. The court, I think that's all on the video. So answer, I activated my rear emergency lights. Question, your rear emergency lights? Answer, yes. Question, and it was low visibility. Answer, yes. And you just had on your headlights? Answer, just my headlights, yes. And then I said, I have no further questions. And then it ended.
All right, do we got time to show this video? Do we have the video lined up? Melos, are you there?
I'm here, mate. What you need?
All right, take your time. Mel, we're gonna share the video and we're gonna end off on that after we do a little commentary. I got about a half hour before I have to start getting ready for work. So the video itself is about 14 minutes. I'll allow about 14 minutes for commentary during it, but at 2 p.m. Eastern, I got to start getting ready for work. And the comment that I still can't hear. Here's the deal, but he says we got to fight for Jamal like our lives depend on it, because it does. It does, man. This country is out of control. People are getting arrested for the most absurd things, literally questioning things. And I literally, we got to make sure that this does not go down. Of course, that doesn't mean you do anything crazy. You take up any violence. You can't defeat a problem with the same form of consciousness that created that problem. We have to remain nonviolent. Now, if people start pushing you around in your own house, and then everyone has the right to defend themselves. But this is not even what this is about. Jamal wasn't even defending himself. He was driving. Up on 4th of July weekend, man. So everybody,
because this is very important. The United States Supreme Court, Supreme Court, the Heller decision in 2008, they specified that the Second Amendment is necessary in case of confrontation. That's what it says. It just says confrontation. It doesn't have to be hostile confrontation. It doesn't have to be not hostile confrontation. It just says confrontation. When you're on the highway, it's 1 a.m. and it's dark and you can't see who's approaching you. And you're on the side of the highway. You don't know who it is. We were confronted. That's what the Second Amendment is for. Again, when you go to my website, you'll see all the case law that I found saying that, bearing arms puts us on an equal playing field. You'll see case law from federal courts and the United States Supreme Court where it says the police have no general obligation to protect you, and where it clearly specifies that the Second Amendment exists for when the government is unable or unwilling to protect you. That's what the Second Amendment is for. This is what federal judges have said, not me. I'm just a guy. This is what judges have said. You know, so there was not one point in time where I did anything wrong to hurt anyone, threaten to hurt anyone, steal anyone's property, kill anyone, kidnap anyone, nothing. There was no tort, there was no injury, there was no threat of tort, there was no threat of injury. He just seen what I looked like, seen the Second Amendment, and he said out of his own mouth he was trying to prolong things. He investigated us, and he wanted to get more officers on the scene to take custody of us before he even learned of anything. He's seen us, and he already had that in his mind. That's just what it is.
And just so everybody knows, one, share the video on all platforms, Facebook, Twitter, messages, everything. And I have updated the description with the docket number, also riseofthemoors.org, their official Instagram, the specific Instagram post that he's referring to with the court documents and some other things. So check out all of that in the description, and please share the video. Mellows, I think we have the video ready to go. Cool. So awesome. Let's add this to the stage. Cool. All right. Awesome, Mellows. So yeah, cool. Yeah. So share the video. We're about to play now this is a mainstream clip. Obviously, there are a bunch of slanderous Mockingbird, CIA makeup wearing, big pharma, Epstein covering up military industrial complex COINTELPRO feds, but it's good. It's interesting to see the thing, and of course on Jamal's YouTube channel, Rise of the Moors, everyone go check that out. Rise of the Moors. All the links are in the description. You can see from his own personal vantage point the event that happened. And again, I hope that everybody here that has a YouTube channel either interviews Jamal and or shares this story, because this is epic, and we need to take a nonviolent stand against this. Mellows, how are we ready to play this? You're muted up on both computers there, dude. Go ahead, Mellows. Yeah, you want to share your screen?
Just having a technical difficulty.
Okay, take your time. Go ahead, Jamal. If you want to talk, and Mellows, just let us know when you're ready.
This is the Massachusetts State Police arrest report. This is the case number. That's my name. Were Miranda rights given? No. What I was arrested for? Disorderly conduct. So why did they say I was being charged with possession of a firearm without a license if I was arrested for disorderly conduct? And again, here's Judge Deacon's order. You see the date, October 18th, 2023. And I'll let the video play, and then I'll continue.
Do me a favor, Mellows, too. I just don't want to get hit by a copyright strike. So how long, Brian, should we pause the video? And I never really share videos on my channel, but what is it, every 30 seconds or so? How long should we pause it? You're muted, Brian. Brian, you're muted.
I think for a public news story, it's 1 minute and 30 seconds, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool. So, Mellows, every minute and 20 seconds, if you just want to pause it for us, please. Thank you. Can you guys hear that? I cannot hear that. Press 1 in the chat if you guys can hear what's going on.
I can't hear it. I can't hear it.
Me either.
Okay, so let's hang on a second. We'll get that figured out. And yeah, guys, if you're just joining, share the video, subscribe to all these gentlemen's channels. They're all right up on their thing, except for Mellows, who's doing all the work, Eyes on the Audit. But this is incredible, man. Jamal, how can people donate to you, man? Because unfortunately, I know you're representing yourself, which is unfortunate and dope, and we could talk about that. But the point is, how many years of your life have been taken away from just doing nothing wrong? The point of me asking is, how can people donate to you? Because you should have been. Hold on.
You can't hear that, right?
I can hear that, yeah. So I just want to quickly say before you start the video, how can people donate to you? Because you literally, as a normal man, you would have been working the last couple of years and providing for your young family. But the state kidnapped you, and they kidnapped your cars too. They kidnapped all your shit. So how can people support you? Because if these people, even I know people live check to check out there, and that's tough. But even if you and I never ask people that live check to check for donations. I usually ask for people that have more than enough money. But even if you have an extra $5 to give to my boy right here, because literally this guy's raising a family. And they may take him away for 88 years, right? He's got a family to worry about, and they stole his ability to provide. So Jamal, can you please tell me, and I'll also update the description with that. And if someone could put it in the comments, we'll pin that in the comments. But how do people donate to you since they stole your ability to provide for your young, beautiful family?
Well, they keep deleting the Cash App because, when it was time for me to get bail, a lot of people donated a lot of money really fast. So they shut down every single Cash App that we made. So the only thing I have is the PayPal. And it's the email is JAMHALSFLICKS @gmail.com. It's jamalsflicks@gmail.com.
Can you please say that? Let's say that 3 times for the home audience, and that's gonna be the top thing here. It's JAHMA. Oh, JM.
Yep. JAM.
Yep.
HAL. So Juliet, Alpha, Mike, Hotel, Alpha, Lima, S, so Sierra, so Jamal's, and then Foxtrot, F, Lima, L, I, India, C, Charlie, K, Kilo, S, Sierra. So Jamal's Flicks @gmail.com. It's when I used to take pictures. I did photography for like 6 months.
All right, bet. I'm gonna put that in the comments.
Hold on, I think Brian was trying to say something. I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, I'll shut the hell. I just want to say one thing. Please support Jamal, man. They literally shutting this fool's fuck. Oh my God, it pissed me off. Give him a donation. Let him know that the fakest of all Mike sent you. And please go ahead.
And that JamalsFlicks @gmail.com. That's your PayPal account.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Mel's. We got this video sorted. We're still working on that.
If the video's not up, I'll read this really quick, real short. This is again the latest order from Judge Deacon. That's the same docket number, same Massachusetts Superior Court, 1018, and you'll see 1019. The federal courts of Massachusetts reaffirmed the Miller versus Bonta decision. But you'll see on page 9, he said, "Thus I accept, at least for the purpose of argument, the plain language of the Second Amendment covers the defendant's alleged conduct in this case. The defendants are, after all, accused of unlawfully keeping and bearing arms. The Second Amendment of the United States Constitution." So they're telling you that I'm being charged with exercising my Second Amendment right. And there's the United States Supreme Court, the Murdoch Court, I believe, said that you cannot be charged for the exercise of a constitutional right.
Breaking news, the lengthy standoff between police and a group of heavily armed men has come to an end. Let's listen in.
Chief McIntyre. We are also happy to be joined by Middlesex District Attorney Marion Ryan, who will also address you. As with before, we will take questions for a brief period afterward. Again, please bear in mind this is a fluid situation. The investigation is still ongoing, even though all suspects are in custody. So there will still be a lot of questions that we will not be answering at this point, but we'll do our best to give you as much information as possible. Thank you. Colonel Mason.
Thank you. I'm pleased and relieved to be able to report to you that at approximately 10:15 this morning, we were able to successfully resolve this situation.
I'm so relieved.
Negotiation and some tactical maneuvers. As a result of that, we were able to place 9 individuals into custody without incident. They joined the 2 that had previously been placed under arrest earlier in the morning for a total of 11 arrests.
I just want to say I'm so proud of these guys for coming to this result, because it must have been such a crazy situation. There was these black dudes filling up their gas on the side of the road. Oh my God, this shit was crazy. Go ahead, Mellis.
Those individuals surrendered without incident to the state police stop team members that were at the scene. And I'd like to commend them for an outstanding job. The job that they did in coordination with
The way you wrestled up those Negroes, man, I'll tell you, they was out there exercising their rights, and I'll just say I'm proud of you. They wouldn't harm anybody, and had guns pointed at anybody, but
I can share with you the number of firearms have been seized. I cannot share with you the exact number. The 2 vehicles that were at the scene are being towed from the scene. They will be processed pursuant to court-authorized search warrant, and only then will we know the exact number of firearms that have been seized. I can tell you that firearms, both long guns and handguns, are in plain view, and we anticipate those will be seized. As you can see, Route 95 is now open. We're happy to have that back open, particularly given the weekend. I know that the MSP crime scene section has just completed its processing of the scene, 3D imaging, and
Pause this for a sec, Mellows. Pause this for a sec, Mellows. If anybody can put the actual link to Jamal, you can find him by the Gmail. It's the top link. Please donate to Jamal right now. I mean, just take off this guy's face, right, and put Hitler's face there, or put Pol Pot's face, or put J. Edgar Hoover's face. Well, we rounded up the minorities. They weren't doing anything wrong. But luckily, the highway that we shut down for no reason is now open. Thank God. I mean, this is what's going on. This is a redcoat right here. This is a British redcoat saying, well, we found these militiamen and they had arms on them. You notice they're not bringing up any crime. You notice they've been talking for a while, no crime.
Yeah, exactly. And you would think if there was a real journalist in the crowd during this press briefing, one of the first things they would ask is, now, could you tell us what crime they committed before you confiscated their property?
Well, apparently it was disorderly conduct. That's my charge. That's what it says on the arrest report from Massachusetts State Police.
And again, there's no such crime as disorderly conduct. That's a butthurt cop crime. There's no that's a throwaway. The disorderly conduct is in Rhode Island defined as tumultuous behavior. The thing is, the disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace, they're all anti-First Amendment. They're all cop butthurt. I don't know what to throw on this guy, so I'm going to throw a disorderly conduct. They're literally unconstitutional. There's nothing constitutional about that. Please continue, Mellows.
Documented that scene and memorialized that scene for the investigators moving forward. These explosives ordnance disposal section, or EOD, swept both of the vehicles prior to them being towed. There was no specific intelligence related to IEDs or any improvised devices or explosives. However, out of an abundance of caution, we wanted to ensure that those vehicles had been swept prior to being towed and secured for evidentiary processing. Motorists transiting on 95 northbound in the Wakefield area around the 57-mile marker.
Look at this, guys. This looks like an SS right here. I don't want to name any of them, but like if you were looking at this footage, you would think that there was a massive casualty event occurring right now. You would think that there's bodies. You got all these. Look at all these goddamn cops and SWAT teams and freaking Batman vehicles. It's insane. For what? Nobody got hurt. Nobody even had a gun pointed at them. You look in the background, and that's the propaganda right there. Oh, we got these guys, and we couldn't be too safe about the IDs. You never know about black guys. They're just supposed to. And then you look in the background, you're thinking it's like a mass casualty event, and they got all these jerk offs standing around, wasting all this money. Insane, the propaganda, guys. Continue, Mellows.
Of searches that are being conducted adjacent to the breakdown lane in the wooded area around that area. We just want to make sure that nothing has been left behind at that scene, that we're confident the public will be safe. There's no items of any concern that are there. At the end of the day, really, I attribute the successful resolution of this to both patience, professionalism, and partnership. I couldn't be happier with the way the local, state, county, and federal assets all came together to successfully resolve this incident.
What's the incident that they resolved? There wouldn't have been an incident. The only reason he was disorderly, first of all, he wasn't disorderly, but the only reason they could call him disorderly, the only reason there was an incident is because y'all made it into an incident. Black guys putting gas in their car is not an incident. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, like, that we could peacefully resolve this incident, and you just witnessed Jamal read you the transcript from the court where he said, did I point a gun at you? No. Was I a threat to you whatsoever? No. Did you think I was a threat? No. Was I doing anything wrong? No. But then they shut down the highway. So, I mean, is that not disorderly? Them shutting down a highway for not even a crime, not even having a probable cause? They shut down. I mean, these guys should be arrested. Please continue.
Safe resolution. Everybody on all sides of this equation go home safely, and the roadway is open.
Oh, not Jamal. Jamal didn't go home safely. Jamal was in jail for over a year.
On this for their patience and working.
Jamal didn't go home safely.
Like to
All
call
those
out.
other motherfuckers, they didn't go home safely. They went to jail.
There it is, completed. What a
And these smug liars are going to sit here and be like, oh, everybody got home safely. And that's all that matters, right? Officer safety is the most important thing.
Road closures and providing safety and security with their dump trucks, their snow plows that allow the operation to go off without a hitch. So, with that being said, I would like to utilize this opportunity to wish everybody a happy, safe, and hopefully uneventful 4th of July.
Pause it. Holy shit, the mother of all irony. Holy shit. This guy just arrested. Okay, first of all, quick little history we're arresting. This country was started when the redcoats, aka the cops, shot a black dude. And these black guys, this dude doesn't have a criminal record. They kidnap and harass him. And I'd like to take a thank to say happy 4th of July. 4th of July, and then they're taking the guns away from the people while they're celebrating 4th of July, while 4th of July is celebrated by shooting the tyrants in the face. And I'm not saying to do that because we're nonviolent, but literally, this is how stupid they are. This is how unironic they are. Wow. I'm going to lock up a bunch of nonviolent armed people because this country was based on nonviolent armed people just defending themselves. I'm going to lock them up for a non-crime and tell you to have a happy 4th of July while we celebrated over 4th of July because of legally owned guns by citizens. The insanity. Please continue, Mel's. Holy shit. I can never smoke enough weed. Well, I had enough trouble sleeping at night. This is outrageous.
A reminder to all of us, as the Colonel said, and I join him in his thanks, of the kind of situations that troopers may face in the middle of the night on the highway.
I can't see your eyebrows because your stupid ass bangs. Look at those pearls. How'd you afford those pearls, bitch?
Outnumbered by armed individuals. The tactics and de-escalation practices that he
Oh my God.
as well as the other state and local police officers that responded in getting us to a safe resolution. They deserve a great deal of credit for getting what could have been a very, very dangerous situation. And in respect to that, we join as well
This racist cunt.
who sheltered in place, who followed the directives that were being issued by
Racist
and the local police.
tyrant.
Hey, Mike. Or Will, sorry, I keep calling you Mike just because your mic's on the screen.
No,
Can you
please
hear
do.
me?
I actually prefer when people call me Mike. It's kinky.
So you can hear me now?
Yeah, I can actually hear you for the first time. Thank God.
I mean, I am not trying to condemn you or anything, but I don't think it's going to do Jamal any favors by us.
I know
using
you're right.
ad
You're
hominem.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I want to apologize. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm shutting the fuck. You're right.
Well,
You're right.
We should just keep it on the level because a nefarious prosecuting attorney can use this as, see, this is what kind of people these are.
Yep.
If
And
we
just so everybody knows, you're right. First of all, Brian's right. And Brian's told me this before. And I really need to work on this because I get upset. I get really upset. This is something that people should be upset by. And I want to apologize. I really want to apologize, right? But at the end of the day, this is my freedom of speech, and I don't have a criminal record. I'm not a bad person. I don't call for violence upon any of these people. And yes, maybe I'm calling people names, right? But at the end of the day, I apologize. Let me try to be more level-headed for Jamal's sake, and I apologize to Jamal and on behalf of the panel here because I'm sorry. I'm going to take a time out because this stuff gets me upset. I don't wish any harm upon these people. I've never called for violence. I do not have a criminal record. I want this to come to like these people saying, I want everyone to go home safe. I want Jamal to be able to live in his house with his family, safe and sound. I'm shutting up. I'm sorry. And DMA, please share this video. Yeah, he said he knew Brian was going to say something. I'm working on it, guys. Look, I might not be the best person here, but Jamal is a stand-up person. Jamal is one of the people in this world, I've said this many times before, that I admire the most. Brian, in every dealing with me, he has been a stand-up guy. and he's he'll tell me the hard truth. And Brian is a guy that is amazing. Mellows is a stand-up guy. He never acts like this. Me, I'm just an idiot with the YouTube channel. So take that with a grain of salt. But these guys, they're cool guys. Okay? Sorry. Please continue.
In helping people to get to this resolution. As you've heard, there are a number of guns. We are also working on identification of these individuals. It's my
She does have terrible bangs. She does. I'm a fashion expert, and her bangs are terrible. Sorry.
Variety of firearms and other charges, and we'll know that better once we know exactly what we have here. They should be there on Tuesday morning. We'll be putting out more information with respect to that. But again, this is a reminder as we and all of our families begin the holiday of the dangers that can arise very rapidly in places where we may least expect that, and the way in which these officers working together, the best kind of negotiation skills that they have, were able to bring this to a place where within a few hours we are in a safe resolution of this situation. So I want to really commend everybody that was involved in this morning. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Scory, the chief of the Wakefield Police Department.
Let's pause it right here. And keep in mind while you're watching this, that every single person up here, they swore a sacred oath on the backs of everybody, of all their countrymen, to protect our rights. And they're over here on the 4th of July weekend gloating that they stole their rights from people. And they're acting like it's a cool regular thing. It's a cool regular, and this is why I get upset. I want to apologize for my outburst. But they're literally lying too. They're saying like it was a situation and a threat, and literally it says in the court documents right there, no, you never posed a threat to me, you never tried to intimidate me. And so how is that disorderly conduct, right? I mean, it's just they contradict themselves in everything, in every flip of the wrist. Let's keep playing this so we can finally get through this.
Very happy that this was brought to a peaceful resolution. I would like to thank the residents of Wakefield for their cooperation and understanding during this incident. The roads in Wakefield that were closed have now reopened. I'd also like to thank the police agencies that are part of the Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council for their response and their assistance, the numerous chiefs that responded to provide their expertise and assistance to me. And I would also like to give recognition to the local fire departments that responded, the Toledo Ambulance, and the Wakefield Department of Public Works. Thank you.
Pause it real quick. Yeah, we got some black guys filling up gas on the side of the road. Let's call the fire department. What is this, Alabama? What's going on here? Why is the fire department being called, bro?
It's because part of the police tactics is they'll throw like some type of gas grenade or something like that, and then they'll throw some type of other like flashbang, and then they have burned several people alive doing that. So that's what it's for. It's for them.
It's officer safety, of course.
Yeah.
Do you swear to take an oath to officer safety and all the... Okay, keep going, Mel's.
I'd like to echo what Chief Scory said. We're very happy this resolved peacefully.
Hold on, can you pause it really fast?
And
no one is really saying anything. They're just supporting what the previous person said to make it seem like, oh, well, this person's also agreeing, and this person's also agreeing, and that person's also agreeing, so it must be true.
Keep in mind,
saying anything.
We're literally almost halfway through the video. No one's been accused of a crime yet. And by the look of the things in the background going on, you would think it's World War 17. Please continue, Mellis.
Things have opened back up again over the holiday weekend. We appreciate everybody's patience in being understanding, and I hope everybody understands that what we did is to make sure that the residents and the people of Massachusetts were safe. We kept everybody safe, and appreciate everybody's understanding. And we just like to thank again the work with the state police, Colonel, your officers did a fantastic job. The local surrounding towns that helped us out, helped us cover the town's calls to service, and NEMLEC for coming out and as a true show of working together and all these multiple agencies working together to come to a successful conclusion. I just want to thank everybody, and hopefully the rest of the 4th of July is uneventful for everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, if you actually watch the YouTube videos.
Coach Chief's comments.
Go ahead and pause it for a sec. And yeah, I want to, and Brian told me this before, and I really need to work on this. But keep in mind, I'm not affiliated with Jamal. I'm just a YouTuber that's upset that a dude is facing this. So hopefully they will take that into context. But Brian is absolutely right, and I need to work on this. I'm an Aries. I don't know what it is, but I just have a reactionary. I'm very I get upset, bro. I get upset. But you're right. You have to consider. And I talk behind the scenes with AEC too. And it's the same thing, man. When you're talking about stuff like this, the jury, the people, they're going to be looking to see if you're because we do have the right to say everything I said. Everything I said is protected under freedom of speech. She has terrible banks. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, they're gonna be like, oh, Will's goof and this and that, right? But Brian, I want to read this thing. Brian is right. Juries can be like snowflakes, so be careful with your speech. Even though we have freedom of speech to say whatever we want, we still unfortunately have to censor it just to beg for our rights and our cars back. Please continue, Mellows.
To a successful resolution, no one was hurt of the suspect and taken into custody. Very appreciative of the residents of Stoneham who were impacted by the traffic and have some understanding that this is the type of stuff that needs to get done in order to bring a case like this to conclusion. So, thank you. Thank you. Questions? Tell us a little bit about this group of people, tactical maneuvers. Can you tell us a little bit about what those tactical maneuvers were?
What the hell?
Hey, what that cop should be saying is, if we catch any one of you people here in Wakefield doing what these free people thought they had the audacity to do, and that is stand on their Second Amendment rights, the same fate will befall you. That's what he should be saying. And I agree with Jamal. These people keep getting up one after the other, saying a whole bunch of nothing. It's a bunch of word salad where they're not giving any kind of specifics about what happened. There's no questions coming from the peanut gallery called journalists from mainstream media. It's all a Shiite show.
Yeah.
Left wondering what happened.
So really fast on my YouTube channel, they took it down, but then I said I didn't violate any YouTube terms and conditions, so they put the videos back up. If you go to lives and then scroll down because this happened a few years ago. So 2 years ago, you see this is the first video, 15 minutes long. This is the next video, 5 minutes long. Then 3 minutes, then 16 minutes, then 4 minutes.
I'm going to interrupt for a sec here, guys. I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to get ready for work. I'm going to take a shower. You guys can still run this panel and show whatever you want. If you want to share that video, you can send those videos. I'll update them with the links in the description. And I have to leave for work a little bit early because it's snowing like a bitch out here. But I'll continue the stream. I'll let Mellows and Brian and you guys are all more than capable. And I'll jump back in here and there after I shower. And then you guys can show that. If anybody needs to jump out, they can. But if you guys want to continue that, please do me a favor. Don't say certain words. You guys kind of know what those words are. Please, if you're going to play a clip, just interrupt it every minute and 20 seconds. And guys, I'll be back, but share the video. I'm going to stay here on the panel. I'm just going to mute and mic up. But please share the video and anything else that we play. The links are updated in the description. And guys, UK lady, share this. Everybody needs to share this video and get these videos out and support. All the links are in the description. I will be back, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. With respect to the first question, the tactical maneuvers, we rely predominantly on time as our ally. We rely on the state police negotiators for their patience, providing the person that we're negotiating with a voice. But there comes a time and a place where we have to.
Can you pause it?
That we are serious, and the way we did.
There was nothing that was being negotiated. I told them that I'm exercising my Second Amendment right, and once I pass out of exhaustion, which is what ended up happening, then you can drag my body and arrest me. But I'm not going to stop exercising my Second Amendment right. So there was nothing that was being negotiated. I wasn't asking for money. I wasn't asking for the president's daughter, or there was no negotiation that was happening. They put on another black guy who was like a veteran of the Coast Guard. They were trying to appeal to me as if I was like asking for it. There was no negotiation. I told them you're gonna have to get EMT and paramedics out here because I'm not standing down until I can no longer physically stand. And then that's what ended up happening. So there was no peaceful resolution that they negotiated. It was, I was standing for 11 hours after being up also the previous day preparing all the vehicles because the lead vehicle got flooded because of the rain. Then I had to wash all of the tent and sleeping equipment. Then, all the guys came and I had to debrief all the guys. So I was up for a long period of time. I had, gear on me, so that's an additional at least 40 pounds. Standing for 11 hours straight. It rained, standing in the cold for 11 hours straight, having to, speak in a manner to the point where the police could hear me because I didn't have a microphone. So there was a lot of physical and mental stress that my body was under to the point where I just passed out. And then they were able to take and drag my body across the highway like I told them it was going to happen. And that's what happened. They didn't maneuver and tactfully do anything. Once I was out of commission because I could no longer function, then they arrested me.
Demonstrated it in this instance was we tightened our perimeter. So we were able to utilize to great effect the Bearcats. They demonstrated a message. They sent to, I think, demonstrated and sent a message that we were serious, that we were resolved about, getting this issue ending it in a safe way. The Bearcats allow us to do that. And so it was once those Bearcats pressed the scene and moved them in, it had its desired effect. And
can you pause that?
Compliant. Very.
I'm not sure if the Bearcat is the armored vehicle that they had or the sound machine that they had, but that they were on the scene almost the entire time. And the body cam footage will show that. And if this ever actually gets, the entirety of the situation actually gets released for what it was, you'll see that they already had set up that firing line, that death squad line that they had. They had already had all of this equipment there for hours. Once I was dragged across the highway and then laid down, then they closed in. So everything they're saying is either out of context and or a lie.
And overinflated because they were really acting like they did something big to save the community.
Yeah. When there was nothing.
Go for it, Melos. Uh-oh, we got no volume.
Two of the individuals requested medical attention. I should point out that the medical attention they requested were for pre-existing conditions, nothing to do with the interaction with with law enforcement, either at the initial stop or at the time of their arrest.
A little bit about this group of people, who they are, who they're affiliated with, what their goals were, where they were going, what their plans were for today.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about what their forum is and what their ideology is. I think they've been pretty vocal on social media about who they are and what they espouse. I'm not going to propagate that, I'll let that. They can define that for themselves.
What were they saying to you during the negotiations?
To me specifically,
The negotiators.
They wanted a voice. They wanted to be heard.
Can you pause?
Wanted to be
That's a lie. There was no. I didn't have like a message like, "Oh, if you don't give me $1,000, or if you don't recognize me, or if you." That's a complete lie. That's like some movie stuff. Like what was that movie with Keanu Reeves and that lady where they're on the bus and it was the retired cop who kept putting bombs places. He wanted a voice. He wanted his pension. I requested nothing from these people. The only thing I requested was, please let us go. That was it. It wasn't. My voice doesn't need to be heard. I have my own YouTube channel, my own social media. I have my family that I talk to. This wasn't I need to be heard from this random police negotiator who I don't know. I spoke to like 3 or 4 of them. I wanted to go home. You'll see if this ever goes to trial and they ever actually show all the video footage without taking things out and without taking things out of context. You'll see where I asked the police several times, please let us go home. Don't arrest us and then treat us like criminals. That's what you plan to do. If they were honest, then they would release the entire negotiation audio. And you'll see I wasn't negotiating anything. I wasn't asking them for anything. There wasn't no, bring a helicopter with $1 million in unmarked bills. There was none of that. It was let us go. We didn't do anything. There was no negotiating as far as us getting something or me needing to be heard. As Will asked me to do this several times. I said no, 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 no. Other people have asked to interview me. I kept saying no, 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 no. I don't want to be heard. This shouldn't have happened to me. This shouldn't happen to anyone else. And these people should be ashamed, especially if they claim to be, once a Marine, always a Marine. They all kept saying that, but then I still ended up in jail. They all kept saying that, but then I'm still being threatened with 88 years. They all kept saying that, but they still held me hostage for 11 hours. They all kept saying once a Marine, always a Marine. But when my grandmother died, they wouldn't let me go see her because I was in Massachusetts and she died in Rhode Island. So where does this once a Marine, always a Marine comes from? Where does it come in? Where does it come in at? It doesn't. You can continue.
Variety of not demands but requests that they just be allowed to leave the area, transit the area without any accountability. And at the end of the day, we couldn't accommodate that, but we were able to work with them, and we could accommodate anything that would lead to a successful resolution to the issue. So ultimately, the charges, the state police investigators will work very closely with DA Ryan's office, and the appropriate charges will be brought forward in court. But basically, I think from just a common sense, without really an understanding of Massachusetts firearms arms law, which supports the actions that we took today, you can imagine.
Hey, Jamal, did you hear what he said? He said they wanted to pass through without any accountability. Did you?
Yeah.
Know
What
that?
was I supposed to be held accountable for?
Exactly. It sounds like
what
the
did I
people who
do
walked
wrong? What law did I violate when you came to me?
Yeah.
And
sounds like
sounds
like the people who walked away without accountability are the cops who harassed you in the first place.
Yeah.
Armed individuals standing with long guns slung on an interstate highway at 2 a.m. certainly raises concerns, and is not consistent.
No context as to what happened.
I understand that they have.
There's just this. Can you pause it? There's just this narrative that we were just out there on the highway with guns and that's it. We weren't out there on the highway with guns. In fact, when Trooper Casey got behind us, no one was outside of the vehicle. So what did you get behind us for? And then their argument is community caretaking. Okay, well, there's case law in Massachusetts that says you cannot turn community caretaking into an investigation. Then I just read you the sworn testimony by Trooper Ryan Casey where he said he was doing what? Investigating us. So where do we go from here?
Carry on.
On that, I appreciate that perspective. I disagree with that perspective at the end of the day, but I recognize that it's theirs.
If they had their gun license on them, but they said they did not, would they have been allowed to continue through, or would they still have been stopped?
Massachusetts, they did not have gun license on them, first of all. Massachusetts does not allow the carrying of a loaded or unloaded firearm on an interstate highway such as this.
That's false. Pause for a second. If you look at Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 140, subsection 269, letters M and O, you'll see that the unlicensed possession statute doesn't apply to individuals who are temporary handling and holding a firearm for legal or lawful purposes. And then you'll also see where it doesn't apply to the military of the Commonwealth. Then when you look up Title 33 of the Massachusetts statute, which is the militia, you'll see section 1 through 53, and you'll see the militia constitutes the military of the Commonwealth, and the militia is of two classes: the organized militia and the unorganized militia. So by both subsections of that statute, I should not be charged with this. So why is it that within the Massachusetts law that they said I violated, within the same law there's exemptions? Why aren't they mentioning that? That's what the law says that. That's part of my argument. It's called a statutory defense, but there's another word that they use for it. But there's the defense. They're not mentioning any of that. It's just this implication that we were just already there.
This is currently being tried in a district court, right?
No, this is in Woburn, Massachusetts Superior Court.
Oh,
Woburn,
okay.
Massachusetts Superior Court. Yeah, the trial is scheduled for February 26th of this year, 2024, so next month. But the prosecutor is trying to move the date to the 28th, even though this date has been scheduled for the past 6 months. And his argument is he's going to be traveling. Well, you already knew that this was the date, so why are you trying to move it now? You know, but they're trying to move it closer to a Friday, so that way, you know, start on a Wednesday. People want to go home on a Friday, so they just come to a conclusion that's going to get them to go home.
So
nobody wants to be a jurist, you know.
Right.
That's their strategy.
Yeah. Go for it, Melis.
Traveling through Massachusetts, and your trooper just happened upon them. And was there anything sinister behind what they were planning to do? And there's a lot of firepower in their vehicles.
I think we'll know at the end of the day, at the end of the investigation, I should say.
Stop. Pause that right there. Pause that right there. He's a liar. Trooper Ryan Casey, under oath, I asked him, were you trying to figure out what was going on? And did I tell you what was going on? He said, yes. We're going to Maine. Under cross-examination, I asked him, what did you find in the vehicle? Oh, camping equipment, 2 dogs, canned food, canned goods, tents, a portable toilet. Why couldn't you just answer the question? No, they didn't. Or at least say, well, they said they were doing this. There's nothing.
They got your name. Case closed.
To draw the attention of the state police, or were they in fact just traveling? We don't know at this early stage of the investigation.
Earlier you said that 2 were arrested. When those 2 were arrested on North Street, that 1 was armed. Were all 11 armed?
Hold on, can you pause real fast? Someone is in the chat is asking, can we ask what the group Moors Rising is rising against? There's no rising against anything. We believe that we're not Negro, Blacks, and Coloreds, and since we fell from from the position of self-governance, self-autonomy, as far as their narrative of us being taken from our home countries, being stripped of all titles of nobility, being stripped of our language, culture, and heritage, we fell into a state of mental slavery and physical slavery. So we're trying to rise out of that. We're trying to rise out of this mental inferiority complex that we feel that we have. We're trying to rise out of this, we don't feel valued or we don't feel worth anything. And by the way I think we can rise out of that is by knowing who we truly are. So if you go to the website riseofthemoors.org, and you click on, as an example, Black identity, you'll see the political implications of identity, what it means. And then there's a particular slave case in 1790 where there are a group of Moors who went to the South Carolina legislature and said, don't treat us like Negroes, Blacks, and colors because we're no longer slaves. We're realigning ourselves with the Sultan of Morocco. We're actually Moors, and we deserve treaty protections because the Sultan of Morocco and the Empire of Morocco has treaty relations with the United States. So if we commit any crime, don't treat us like slaves, treat us like citizens of Morocco. Because when you study actual law, you'll see, as an example, when you go to 6th District Court in Providence, Rhode Island, you have the 6th District Court for citizens, and then you have the Portuguese consulate for Portuguese nationals, because they're held to a different standard because the Portuguese, the country of Portugal, has a treaty with the United States, so they have to treat their citizens according to that treaty. So we're not rising against anyone. We're teaching our people that we have the right to self-autonomy according to the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights and Rights of Indigenous People. We have the right to a nationality. Black is not a nationality. Indian is not a nationality unless you're from Hindustan, and this is not India, and we're not those things. And we have the right to self-govern. We have the right to self-autonomy. We have the right to govern ourselves. We shouldn't have been forced to assimilate into the United States colonies. we have the right to expatriation if there's a presumption that we're citizens of the United States colonies, and if we're being charged with violating any laws of the United States or any of the several states, then we ask to be treated as nationals, just like a Portuguese national will be treated. We go to federal court and we handle it according to the signed treaty that our nation has with the United States. Nobody ever questions that when it comes to German citizens, Israeli citizens, Portuguese citizens, Nigerian citizens, Ghanaian citizens, Chinese citizens. There's a big South Korean population here. Whenever they have any issues with the state of Rhode Island, or there's any disputes between them and citizens of the state of Rhode Island or any other state, they go to federal court, because there's something called diversity of citizenship or diversity of nationality. And because the United States is supposed to respect the independence of every other sovereign state and nation, they're supposed to treat those foreign citizens accordingly. And that happens in federal court. It's called a consular court. That's what we're asking for. We're not saying we don't have to abide by any laws. That's ridiculous. We're saying if you're going to hold us accountable to what the law actually says, not what you're making up. And if anyone does any basic research on diversity of citizenship, diversity of jurisdiction, or like I said, if you go to nationality, citizenship, and sovereignty on the Rise of the Moors website, there's case law that says that. There's case law from the federal courts of the United States that specifies nationality claims are citizenship claims. So if a Chinese person comes here and they're not a citizen of the United States and they commit a crime, they're going to go to federal court, and the supreme law is going to be the Constitution, Article 6, and any treaty that they have with the People's Republic of China. So why can't we get the same treatment if the United States says they're going to recognize everyone's right to nationality? They're going to recognize, the active state doctrine, going to recognize the indigenous people's right to govern themselves. That's what we're asking for. And we're trying to rise out of the state of being a non-self-governing nation to being a self-governing nation of people. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is the order of the united world. There's something called the United Nations where they profess that these are the things that they believe in. So whether you look at it from I'm claiming to be part of a separate nation of people, or you look at it from the 14th Amendment is constitutional, despite the proceedings and the debates of the 90th Congress, First Session, Volume 113, Part 12, June 12, 1967, page 15641 to 15646, where they emphatically said that the 14th Amendment is not constitutional, and you want to consider me as a U.S. citizen, well, then the Second Amendment applies to me, and I still didn't violate any laws. So we can try to play this ad hominem game of, try to personally attack me and personally attack my beliefs. My beliefs are not founded in overthrowing, harming, or stealing, or harming anyone or anything. Then you can continue to try those games, but it's stupid. Look at what I wrote look at my website. Look at the things that I write. Look at the intellectual prowess I try to put in writing to articulate what I actually mean. Look at the several books that I've written on these topics, and how I never call for the destruction of anyone or anything, and how several times I've stated that we need to enforce the Constitution, because the Constitution is one of the greatest documents known to man if it was actually enforced and applied. The problem is these people that are trusted with these honorable positions of judge and governor and chief of police, they're violating those positions, and they're doing it knowing that the people aren't educated enough, or the masses aren't educated enough to say anything about it. So why are we looking at me as an individual, what my organization says, as opposed to what the law says? Because the law is supposed to be held equally against everybody, not just me because of my skin color, or me because I believe something. It doesn't matter what I believe.
Hey, I appreciate that research response. Just so we can get everything on the table, though, Jamal, Generally Specific says, thanks for your response, Jamal. And he also says the history of the Moors is pretty brutal toward Europeans. Google the Moorish conquest of Europe if you wanted to make a comment about that. It wasn't a
conquest. You had the Eastern Byzantine Empire and the Western Byzantine Empire. You had Arians and you had Trinitarians. The Trinitarians were forcing everybody to believe that Jesus was God, and that God was three persons. The people that followed the Arians didn't believe that. The Visigothic king Roderick was the first Trinitarian to take over the Iberian Peninsula, whereas before that, under King Vitor, who was Gothic, none of them were Trinitarians. So the Roman Catholic Church started to murder people, and those people asked the Muslims to come into Spain and help them. It wasn't a brutal invasion. And anyone who does any bit of actual research will read and know that. The Roman Empire, they were murdering people and forcing them to accept the Trinity, and there were active Christians saying this is not true, this is not real. Just look into something called the Arian controversy. And then when you look into who the Protestants were and how the word Protestant comes from protest, they were protesting the Roman Catholic Church. And then when you look up who the Puritans were, the early colonists here in the United States, how they were Puritans, the Puritans are Protestants, the Protestants are Arians, the Arians didn't believe in the Trinity. You'll see the Moors were the first people to recognize the independence of the United States, who were Puritans, who were Protestants, who were Arians, who didn't believe in the Trinity. So let's actually look at what the history says, and let's actually portray, people in their proper context. Granted, are there evil people now? Yes. Are there good people now? Yes. Were there evil people then? Yes. Were there good people then? Yes. Let's stop generalizing as if all people from a nation of people are bad. Is every European bad? No. Is every U.S. citizen bad? No. Are there bad bunches? Yes. Are there good bunches? Yes. So let's stop generalizing like I'm responsible for. Or let's take it to today.
Thank you, Joe.
Many people try to pretend like the so-called white people today are responsible for slavery when you didn't even own slaves. And then what is your defense? Well, I didn't own any slaves. Well, I wasn't those Moors who were bad. Let's be fair. Let's think. Let's use our brains. Let's approach each other with love. Did I brutally ravage Europe? No, I didn't. So how could you possibly use that against me?
Yeah, and I don't think
am I accusing any of you for enslaving my ancestors? No. Am I accusing any of you for being part of the Spanish Inquisition against indigenous people? No. Am I accusing you of initiating the Crusades against innocent people? No.
And I don't think generally specific was saying that you were. He says, I'm not playing a game. If you feel my question is ad hominem, when you were falsely applying Hanlon's razor. I don't think you, I think you were you talking generally, Jamal? You weren't specifically directing that at generally specific, right?
No. So my wife had texted me saying people are asking what does rise of the Moors mean?
Yeah.
And what are we rising against? As if
right.
What is making you pose that question? If you look at my website and you look at the things that I have wrote myself or the videos that I have done myself, you wouldn't even ask that question.
Right. And I think it's rightly said what you just said, because I view the United States of America, especially the government, as an empire building venture. So when somebody abroad maybe say in Yemen, because we continually bomb Yemen, or our support of Isra, you know who. People can say, oh yeah, Americans are just brutal, fascistic people who like to bomb other people. Well, you just broad brushed everybody, because there's a lot of Americans that are against the U.S. war machine. So well taken what you just said.
Yeah, and I don't mean to offend anyone. It's just I know what people say about me and my organization, and I kind of can see where questions may come from. Because if you like I said, if you even read the homepage of my website, you'll see none of my beliefs or positions are against anyone or stand for the oppression of anybody. This is about my people being called crayon colors and being stripped of their identity, their name, their culture, and their language, and trying to restore that. And law is called just post limine, is being restored to a status as if you never lost it. So we're rising out of the conditions of absolute and extreme poverty, not knowing who we are, not knowing our true history, and coming out of that. And then as we come out of that, we see that there's continued application of things like slave laws to this day. Anytime any state licenses the right to bear arms, that absolutely originated from slavery.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you do any research on the Boston Tea Party and the revolt that people in Massachusetts had against the British planned to license the carrying of firearms against the colonists, and they fought against it.
Yep.
Let's focus on what's actually happening to all people. And then once you start to see what's happening to all people, you start to realize, oh, what I'm saying applies to everybody, not just my people. It applies to everyone here. If the federal courts, if you go to my website, you look at Second Amendment, you look at Bruin, you look at the case law, how it places man on an equality. As a matter of fact, let me read something really, really quick.
While Jamal gets that up, I really want to thank Here's the Deal for helping me out today. He's honestly, man, he's one of the few people, I've said this before, I don't agree. There's not a person in the world I agree with everything they say 100%, that's for sure. But I generally agree with Here's the Deal's take, and I think he's one of the very few in this movement we don't have to question. Jamal, man, I've said it many, many times in Mellows. This is a panel full of good dudes, and I want to let you guys know, Hey, I'm just a regular YouTuber. I'm not on the level of these guys. These guys are all men who have actually accomplished real things. This is a real case. This is a real travesty of justice. I would like to take one more second to say thank you again to everybody watching. Please comment. If you're joining on Facebook, take a second, or on Twitter, retweet, share this video, send a text message, get the video out, and all the links are in the description. And I'm going to give the helm back over to them while I'm going to listen. I'm going to be here and talk, but I'm going to be driving, so I'm not going to be on camera. And I'll listen. Maybe I'll pop in with some chats, but take me about 20 or, depending on how bad the roads are, 15, 20 minutes to get there. But please continue, and thank you, gentlemen.
So this is the case, United States versus Jimenez Shalon, May 23rd, 2022. From Circuit Judge Newsom, who's the circuit judge. The Complete Bill of Rights proposal that Congress be barred from preventing the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms, as well as the New Hampshire proposal that Congress shall never disarm any citizen unless such as are or have been in actual rebellion. The Second Amendment seems to have codified this principle. See Heller. That's the United States Supreme Court Heller case in 2008. It was understood across the political spectrum that the right to keep and bear arms helped to secure the ideal of a citizen militia, which might be necessary to oppose an oppressive military force if the constitutional order broke down. At the same time, it helped to secure the citizen's right to self-defense when his government was unable or unwilling to protect him from private lawlessness. And then in the brackets is my little commentary. Several federal court cases have already decided that the federal, state, and local municipal, county, city, and town governments, which include state and local police, have no duty to protect an individual. His government is unwilling to protect him from private lawlessness. See Munger versus City of Glasgow Police, 227 F 3D 1082. A police officer generally has no duty to protect a particular individual. Taylor versus Flynn, 9 F 3D 882. So versus Bay Area Transit, 2013. Hernandez versus City of San Jose. The police have no duty to protect individuals from private wrongdoers. White versus Dutchford, 592 F 2D 381. There is no general duty to provide police protection to the general public. United States versus Duguay, 93 F 3D 346. The state owes no legal duty to protect things outside its custody from private injury. So what is the Second Amendment for? And this entire thing is about the Second Amendment. And it starts off with how it's any licensing is slave law, period. It only applied to Negroes and slaves. And it does not embrace the free inhabitants of North Africa, such as Egyptian, Moors, or the Negro Asiatics. So there's a different status between a Negro and a Moor. Negroes are slaves, Moors are free. So treat me like a free man. Why? Because free Negroes and free persons of color are prohibited from carrying a firearm unless they have permission from their masters. And last time I checked, when the United States separated from Great Britain, the king was no longer their master, which means they don't need permission from anybody to do anything.
And really, that has nothing to do with what happened, because everything you did was legal within U.S. law, blah, blah, blah. You had everything right.
You know, and here's this is an entire video of me in Maine teaching fundamentals of marksmanship, and how, again, mere possession of a firearm is not a crime. It does not give rise to reasonable suspicion that the defendant was illegally carrying that gun. Yet, soon as Trooper Ryan Casey seen me, and based on what those police officers were just saying, that the mere fact that they seen arms, they had arms slung across their body, that's not a crime. So why were you investigating us? And why didn't you read us our Miranda rights? Who cares about what rise of the Moors means? My rights were violated. Let's talk about that first. Right? Brumley versus Commonwealth. Knowledge of firearms alone does not create reasonable suspicion. Commonwealth versus Kelly. This is Massachusetts. Carrying a weapon is not standing alone an indication that criminal conduct has occurred or is contemplated. So why was I investigated, and why was I held hostage for 11 hours, and why was I in jail for a year? Nordyke versus King. Self-preservation is commonly called the first law. Self-preservation cannot be repelled, or superseded, or suspended by any human institution. Selective draft law. The highest duty is to bear arms. This duty is inherent. Without it, society could not be maintained.
Hey, Jamal.
Yes.
Is this compilation of court cases on your website?
Yes, it is. And
Awesome.
a lot more.
And you compiled all these?
Yes, I did.
I love that, man. If you could, when we hook up later and you email me, could you email me some of those links? We need to promote this stuff, man. Those who desire to be ignorant and free desire what never was and what never shall be. And the other day, one of my subscribers posted under one of my videos, maybe it was under my community tab, a quote by Thomas Paine. And I've read a lot of Thomas Paine, Common Sense and all that, and somehow I missed this quote, but this is so apropos to what we're talking about today in relation to us defending you, because as we defend you, we defend ourselves. Thomas Paine said, "He that would make his own liberty secure must guard even his enemies from oppression. For if he violates this sacred duty, he establishes a precedent that will reach to himself." If we don't defend you, our day is coming and ain't nobody going to be left to defend us. And that's just the
That's
fact.
exactly what happened to Nazi Germany.
Yep, exactly.
Someone asked, if I had a militia called Aryans Rising, would you not have a couple of questions? No, that has nothing to do with me. In fact, for years, the Ku Klux Klan was referred to as a militia by the United States government. In fact, if you go to the website from case law I was just reading, the United States Supreme Court even referenced those cases where Klansmen called militiamen were murdering innocent people. And those innocent people could not defend themselves because they didn't have permission from the United States government to keep and bear arms. And by coincidence, those people were called black. So that has nothing to do with me. My obligation is to protect my family and myself. So if the Aryans Rising came to me and they decided to kill me, well, then I'll just do my best to defend myself. Because obviously the United States Supreme Court and the federal courts of the United States said that the police have no obligation to protect me. So what am I supposed to do? Let's be honest. Me claiming to be a Moor is not against anybody being who they are. It's not even predicated on anybody but us. We keep calling ourselves by things that we're not: Negro, black, and colored. There's no Negro land, there's no colored land, there's no black land. Italians are from Italy. Chinese people are from China. Germans are from Germany. Nigerians are from Nigeria. Where are black people from? Why is it wrong that I'm trying to figure out where my people came from? And then once I found where they came from, they were called Moors. There was a whole empire. When you do the research on this empire, you find out that the Portuguese were the first people to enslave Moors. And then when you study the transatlantic slave trade, you see, it was the Portuguese that were the main slavers, and they enslaved Moors. And a lot of those Moors from the Western Africa, also known as the Maghreb, was controlled by the Moorish Empire. Okay, well, then these people must be Moors. So why is it wrong for me to say I'm not black, I'm a Moor, and I'm going to rise from that dead status of black, that slave status of black, to that of a free person? Where I'm arguing that as a free person, I should be treated like every other free person, and these licenses shouldn't apply to me, just like it never applied to free people. And then when you actually study the United States Supreme Court case Bruen decision, you'll see when you study the Second Amendment and its historical analysis, you'll see it only applied to slaves, never applied to free white people. And when you look at a law book and you look at free white person, you see it doesn't mean Aryan race, Caucasian race, or Indo-European races. It is a status. So you know how we say all people are equal? White is that status, free and equal. It's not skin color, it's status. And when you do more research, you see even North Africans are considered white. There's a case where a North African Egyptian who's as brown as me came to the United States and he's classified as white. So we see it's not skin color, it's legal status. So I'm rising from a dead legal status to a free legal status like everybody else has on this planet. Nobody else on this planet of people is called Negro, black, and colored. They're called from the country from which they derive. Even when you ask people that are U.S. citizens, hey, what are you? Oh, well, my grandmother's from Ireland, my grandfather's Czechoslovenian, and my other grandfather is from Russia. They know where they came from.
Hey, we got 2 more minutes, about 2.5 more minutes of this video. Should we continue?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, go for it, Melos.
So we're in the process of determining, looking at the body-worn camera footage, making a determination what charges would apply. For instance, the two that were arrested, only one of them was identified as having a firearm. As I indicated earlier, we're conducting an article search in that area to see if there are additional firearms that have been dumped, dropped out there. So at the end of the day, we still have a significant amount of investigation to do and ensure that the appropriate applicable charges are levied against each individual. So we are already in contact. One of my first calls is always to the special agent in charge of Boston when we have a major incident like this. Here in New England, and the chiefs can speak to this, the DA can speak to this, we very much have a one-team mindset when it comes to critical incidents. No more than here in the Boston metro area do we understand the importance of that, having gone through a number of critical incidents. So I reached out to the FBI earlier. We had FBI assets at the scene. We've been engaged in information and intelligence sharing throughout this, and I anticipate that that will continue as the investigation moves forward.
We're still working on that. We're still working on that. As the Colonel said, we've been in touch with our other law enforcement partners. We are in the process of seeking search warrants for those vans, making assessments what the appropriate charges are. So that continues.
Yeah, thanks for stopping that, Mellows. I mean, I don't ever hear a journalist say, were any rights, did you guys violate anybody's rights? If these guys committed a crime, could you please articulate the exact crime that they committed? Because having firearms is a constitutionally protected American right by birth, not by permission from the government. Nobody ever says anything like that.
Was anyone praying at the scene? We've got to lock up all those people that were praying. Anyone?
I just put in the chat. You'll see Rise of the Moors. I'm on my wife's phone as well. riseofthemoors.org/Second Amendment and riseofthemoors.org/Bruin. Both of those have copious amounts of case law as far as the standard that Bruin set. Some of the case law from Massachusetts where they clearly specify that what they're doing is unconstitutional. And a lot of the case, even more case law than what I just read. Oh, also, my wife wanted me to also state that the United States Constitution applies to everybody, whether you're a citizen or not. If you're not a citizen of the United States, you still have the right to face your accuser, to be secure against any unreasonable searches and seizures and things of that nature. What else you want to say? Oh, yeah. To reiterate that, every single arm that I've ever owned in my life was purchased after passing a state and federal background check from the state of Rhode Island. So there really is nothing. Again, if you do research on peaceable journey laws and you look up case law from Massachusetts, and I've already argued this in front of Boudreaux, where the Commonwealth of Massachusetts themselves in documented case law said, if you're traveling from one state to another state and you're abiding by the laws of your state and the state in which you're going to, you're not prohibited from carrying arms in either of those states, and you travel through a second state, you don't have to abide by those laws because you're traveling through. It's called the right to peaceable journey. This is federal law. It is federal law of the United States. So how could they even say or imply that we don't believe the laws apply to us when every single step of the way, every single one of my co-defendants, to my knowledge, has been arguing that we haven't violated the Constitution. In fact, you're violating your own laws. Nothing that these people have ever said thus far. There was not one law referenced that we allegedly violated. Nothing. Yeah, and she wanted me to reiterate again that my personal beliefs have nothing to do with what I'm being charged with, or my right to go to Maine on family-owned property and train. When I called the sheriff myself, and he said it's okay. When the gun laws in Maine say that you can open carry without a license, and the gun laws in Rhode Island at the time said the same thing. It just so happens Massachusetts is in between. So where was I supposed to go? In the ocean? It doesn't make sense. Or somehow go around and go through New Hampshire, or, if anyone just uses their brain or has any basic comprehension of civics or law, then they'll see that what happened was a great injustice. And unfortunately, this has been happening to many people for years, not just me. I was in jail with a lot of people they just had a gun. They weren't going to hurt anyone, steal anything. They just had it. And then the police unlawfully search them. They don't know their rights. The attorneys aren't teaching them their rights, and they're just getting railroaded. What about all those people? How is it that I spent more time in pretrial detention than the Boston bomber when he actually hurt people? How does that even make sense?
Along these lines, I just dropped a link in the chat from Gun Talk, which talks about the peaceable journey law, and it's chock filled with a bunch of links that you can look up yourself. So just for your information.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's do the last of this, Mellows, if you don't mind.
That's the information we have from them. We have not confirmed all of that in our investigation yet.
During the negotiations, what was happening? Were they all like hiding in the woods, or standing there? What was the play-by-play?
My understanding is there was a combination of some people who remained closer to the negotiators and others that were further in. But we're not going to really discuss all of that yet until we've had an opportunity, as the Colonel said, to review video, to really recount ourselves what took place out there.
Were they all men?
My understanding is that they are all men.
Last
Yes.
question. Are you confident that this
She assumed my gender. I don't appreciate that.
We don't know that. People should feel confident right now that we have 11 people in custody. We have taken custody of a number of firearms, and we are continuing the investigation to make sure that the safe status we've developed to now remains in place.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
People shouldn't be.
I used to work 9 to 5. But what
People should not feel confident. People should feel concerned that the law enforcement agents and road pirates are out there making people less safe and taking away their rights. Period.
They're called highwaymen.
Yep, exactly.
I
Hey,
do
guy-
have, sorry.
Go ahead. No, your turn. Go ahead.
I do have, again, if you go to riseofthemorse.org, you click on res judicata. If you don't know what res judicata is, I wrote something on that, so you can read that. Click on community caretaking, and you'll see DL versus Montgomery. Community caretaking is divorced from the detection, investigation, or acquisition of evidence related to violations of criminal statutes. Commonwealth versus Lindsay. The emergency exception to Miranda is this exception applies to a narrow class of circumstances where the injury sought to be avoided must be immediate and serious, and the mere existence of a potentially harmful circumstance is not sufficient. Commonwealth versus Soderini, in which a warrantless police intrusion may have been justified because of the community caretaking function, but lost justification once the police transformed it into the investigation of criminal activity. We have under oath where Trooper Ryan Casey said he was investigating us. We have on the record where the police said that they were doing community caretaking. So by any standard of law, our right to due process was violated, which means every single thing that they obtained is called fruit of a poisonous tree, which means every single thing, every grain of gunpowder must be suppressed. And if they suppress that, they have nothing. You know, this happens to so many people across the country as far as, you know, this case law that I read in jail where people were being followed for trafficking cocaine and just because the police violated their right to privacy, they had to suppress that evidence. Cocaine is not protected by any constitutional amendment. Firearms are. So not only was the Second Amendment violated, the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment were violated. Yet none of this is being talked about. Just, oh, well, there was a standoff and these people, and we had searched for bombs and we did. Come on. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And the fact that if you watch every single news clipping and then you watch the actual live footage that happened on the highway, you'll see that these people are lying. If they're lying about me, what else are they lying about?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And this reminds me of the mainstream media's outlook and stand down orders on Julian Assange. You got Julian Assange out here with WikiLeaks putting out vital information, 100% of which is always right because it comes from source documents. And now they're standing down for you. If you, man, I'm going to just go ahead and beat this dead horse till it's gelatinized. But if we don't stand up for this guy right here, whether you know him or not, whether you like him or not, it's completely irrelevant. Put yourself in his shoes, because you and I are in his shoes. It's just a matter of time before they knock on our door or pull us over and pull us out of the car and then spin their narrative against you on mainstream media. So yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to shine the light in the darkness on this right here. And the prosecutors, the district attorney, the the cops, they're trying to put a blanket of darkness on this so they can continue getting away with their lies, and we just can't have this. Now, are you countersuing too, Jamal?
I've tried, and every time I tried in federal court, they basically said I have to wait until the state proceeding ends, and then I might have standing. But every attempt I've made to, write for myself and show how my constitutional rights were violated, the courts just, they don't care. They either throw in the, they self-identify as sovereign citizens, and they use that to throw it away. Even though I never claimed to be a sovereign citizen. In fact, I have on my YouTube channel where I asked Judge Deacon, what is a sovereign citizen? And this judge said it has no legal standing. So why do you keep calling me that? If a sovereign citizen has no legal standing, why do you keep calling me that? So there's a psychological operation that's happening. And yep. I think the main thing is, we can't have this former Marine encouraging people to exercise, their constitutionally protected rights in this manner. You have to do what the state tells you to do because we're your new master now. That's essentially what it is. And it applies to everybody. But, except for like some southern states where they have constitutional carry laws and things like that. Because at the same time, when I was in jail, there was the Texas militia guarding the border. None of them were arrested. They don't have authority from the United States federal government to deal with international incidences. You can start a whole war between Mexico and the United States if God forbid you shot a Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
These are international incidences that could have occurred. There was a recent militia that showed up to some police station. There was a city in Michigan where they called for a citizens militia against red flag laws. So this stuff isn't uncommon. It's just a lot of people, if you follow mainstream media, you're not aware of it. And, the country's so big, so there's a lot of things happening that people just aren't aware. And, people inherently know something is wrong. But, due to the mass miseducation and indoctrination in schools, some people don't feel like they have they're not mentally confident or they don't trust their own mental faculties to say, I'm intelligent enough to clearly articulate what's wrong and then stand on that. It's just disgusting. But, the same tenacity I had in the Marine Corps where I really believed in the Constitution, I really believe that we're all equal. I'm taking that same energy and I'm bringing it to advocating for everybody because that's why I joined the military. I have a desire to help protect the underdog and help protect people that can't defend themselves. And what I'm seeing is the United States government and almost every state actively warring against their own people. And it's so covert and malicious and subversive that the people don't blatantly see it. And then we generalize it. Oh, racism. It's not just racism. It's systematic control over populations of people. And then they have these diversionary sprinkle things of racism. They're applying these slave laws to everybody. And just because the slave law is applied to everybody doesn't mean it's fair. Just like I shouldn't be licensed, you shouldn't be licensed. It doesn't matter what our skin color is. It just so happens that these license laws originated from slavery. And then in 1607, the state of Virginia made slavery color-based. And you'll see where there were black slave owners, and they prevented black slave owners from having white Christian slaves, but they could have black Christian slaves. So even the whole slave narrative isn't what they say it is. So this race-based stuff is just more division. Why can't we see people as human beings first?
Yeah, because well and above racism is authoritarianism. And when somebody wants to control you against your will and without your consent, that's where the problem comes in. And that's where criminal activity is. And like somebody said in the chat, Nude Guru says nothing screams indoctrinated more than, quote, legal and legally allowed. Because when you're talking about licensing, you're talking about a permission slip. When you're talking about a permission slip, you're talking about the person who grabs that commission slip is no longer a free man, but is a slave that is permitted by his master to do certain things or possess certain things.
That is
and
a fact.
If you're a free man, you do not need to ask anybody for permission of anything. We're all equal, or none of us. We all have rights, or none of us have rights.
Yep.
When you initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong, you've crossed the line from normality to criminality. And every one of us has to get that down. Guys, hey, I appreciate you having me. I got to run. But hey, Jamal, I'm going to leave my contact information. It's contact@highimpactflix.com. I just posted it in the chat. If you can get in touch with me, man, I want to help you out and do what I can.
Yeah, if you have Will's number, Will, text him my number.
I'll give him your number. Brian, I really want to thank you for this. Everyone go check out Here's the Deal. But yeah, I'll get you in contact. Everybody go support Here's the Deal, because he's hopefully going to be doing a video on this. He's a great YouTuber. He's one of the few guys that we have out there. He's a true activist, a true dude. Go support him. And I really appreciate you coming on here. And yeah, so I'll text you his number. Anything else that you want from me, High Impact, you can email me, fakemikerealnews@gmail.com. And I believe you have my new number too. But if not, I'll text you Jamal's number so you have it.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Liberty or death. Take care.
And I appreciate everyone for being here. And I do apologize if you know the way I speak sometimes may sound aggressive or firm or defensive. I do apologize. I do appreciate everybody that supports. It's just I'm firm on principles, and I do my best not to sway off of principles, because then I'm just not doing my job as a man. These are everybody's rights we're talking about. Granted, there are people with malicious intention, but that's where the law is supposed to determine that malicious intent, not just blanketly apply it to everybody. It's either we're going to have an actual justice system that actually proves people are guilty, or we're going to have the system that we have today where you're guilty until proven innocent. Because there's even, again, case law, Young versus Hawaii, where the federal courts of Hawaii specified that there was a case in, I believe, North Carolina, State versus Huntley, that the mere possession of a firearm is not a crime, and that you can openly carry that firearm and not be charged with anything. And there was copious amounts of case law where, as an example, there was an individual named, I think Sampson or Simpson, and I have this in one of my motions. I think I have this in all my motions, where an individual was charged for publicly carrying arms, and then those charges were dismissed because he didn't do anything. You can't just be charged for doing that. Point blank, period. Licenses only applied to slaves. And then when slavery ended, they needed to apply it to the quote-unquote free Negroes. And in order to do that, they needed to apply it to the general population, except the whites never lived by it. And if anyone does any research on actual case law, guaranteed, sometimes you got to read 75 pages of case law, 105 pages of Supreme Court decisions, guaranteed it's a lot to read. But if you actually want to learn and you want to see what's actually happening to all of us, you'll see that what's happening is absolutely wrong. And I'm passionate about that. So
Yeah,
I apologize if it sounds angry.
That's the same thing about me, man. I'm passionate. I get upset at these people because, like, you're not doing anything wrong. We're supposed to be free. There's supposed to be a free country, and we're punished for this. You know what I'm saying? We're punished for that. Hang on.
Yeah. And again, if you go to riseofthemoors.org, you click on res judicata, you drop down to Bruen, you'll see in the United States Supreme Court Bruen decision, which was a landmark decision, there was an amicus curiae brief. And in that amicus curiae brief, they provided copious amounts of case law showing how the only time a license ever applied to anyone was during slavery. So if you're okay with slave laws being applied to free people or people that are allegedly free, well, then that's your choice. I believe that there's a God out there who's going to ask, when we all die, when you've seen oppression, why didn't you speak up against it? And from the three major religions, all of them believe that when you die, your God will ask you, well, what did you do in the face of oppression? What did you do?
Even atheists, Jamal, even atheists pride themselves on not needing religion to dictate their morality, and that they're even better people without it. So there's no excuse. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men and women and trans and different people, how they identify, is to do nothing. Mellows, we'll wind this down here, but I appreciate you, Jamal, taking this time. And Mellows also, man, for hooking it up because of the technical difficulties. Mellows is a true hero, dude. You guys, we're gonna do a whole stream with Mellows. You guys know Mellows, but Mellows is a true hero, man, for years and years and years. Mellows, I wanted to get, I'm finally about to park before work here and relax. Mellows, I wanted to get your take on what you've been witnessing too, because you've just been pulling the strings in the background here, helping us get all the videos and the technical shit together. What's your take on some of the stuff you've been hearing? Because you've just been having to listen to this crap.
Yeah. I mean, the guys you had on were so articulate. I didn't really want to interrupt them with my with my version of what I saw. I mean, they clearly have created this spin, the narrative for media opportunity. It's like that age-old thing, you know, taking advantage of every crisis. You know, so they've come across this crisis where they've come unstuck, and then they've tried to spin it with a narrative, you know, because right now it's the hot debate, the hottest debate ever. We need to disarm the Americans and get rid of the Second Amendment. So this is perfect. So here comes Jamal. Excuse me, guys.
Yeah, I mean, this has been quite an incredible stream of this story. And people have been asking me, hey, Will, where's Jamal? How come he hasn't been on your stream? You knew Jamal didn't think you were that cool, but I mean, come on, what happened? We talked about what's going on. And I'm like, after all this time, I'm like, Jamal, what's wrong? Is it because I'm black? that's an inside joke. But because technically, according to more science, I'm black and he's white. Go figure. But yeah, so he's been in fucking jail for no reason, and this is why it's so important to get this story out, guys. I want to give Jamal the floor for any final thoughts. Before I do, all the links are in the description. His PayPal, please go support. Even if you got like $3 to payday, buy one. Shit, you're gonna drink the fluoride out the sink, and you're gonna buy yourself a bag of nuts, and you're gonna give Jamal the other $1. All right, because shit, this is how we gonna have to do it right now. Because shit, we can't eat until Jamal eats. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it is, man. This guy literally has had the ability to provide for his young, beautiful family, taken from him for upholding his rights. Wow. So Jamal, if you could please say any final things, take as long as you absolutely want. But also, please remember to, if you want to give a brief overview too, a summation of what we talked about, and then definitely promote your Cash App as well, your PayPal too, please.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody for being here, who's interested. Even if you're not interested, I appreciate you for being here. Maybe you'll learn something. Please go to the website. You don't have to buy anything from the website, but if you just go to the free information and learn, read about the case law, read about all the laws that's provided there, so that way you can have a better understanding of, if you don't already know, of what's happening to us and how we're being violated. I think that's all I can ask for. I don't know what else to ask for. If you can, contact Firearms Policy Coalition. They've been doing a lot for the Second Amendment. Please share my story with them or this video with them. Maybe, I can possibly get some help from them, or, filing a federal lawsuit or something like that, because they're...
Before I forget, everyone tweet this video at Maj Toure. I know somebody that knows him, and I gotta hit him up. Everyone tweet this video at Maj Toure. His name is it's MAJTOURE. And his shit is called Black Guns Matter. Anybody that you know, white or black, at firearms, anybody, tweet this video at them. Any Second Amendment people, any First Amendment people, get it out there.
So I just want to read this case. Again, this is riseandamores.org. This information is free.
Jamal, we're not in any rush. I literally have an hour before work, so okay, take your time. If there's anything that you want to air out, go ahead, man.
Yeah, look, this is in Chief of Police of Shelburne versus Moyer. The Massachusetts Court of Appeals concluded, consistent with Davis, that a statute requiring a person to have a license in order to carry a firearm did not violate the Constitution, because there is no right for a private citizen to keep and bear arms, and thus to require that a citizen have a license to do so is not unconstitutional. And you continue where I added, clearly with the Heller Court's decision, according to the Massachusetts Court of Appeals, since there is an individual right to keep and bear arms, any laws requiring a citizen to have a license is in fact unconstitutional. It doesn't get any simpler than that. You can search this case right here and you'll see exactly this. This is a quote. This is not my personal opinion. Where this is them saying that. So how is it now we're here 2024 where the Massachusetts Court of Appeals said, to license a right that's not an individual right is not unconstitutional, for them to keep saying that, when we know now for a fact, according to the Supreme Court, that it is an individual right. So these people are violating basic principles of logic, and they're getting away with it because a lot of people are just miseducated. And I went to Tolman High School in Pawtucket, and I wasn't taught anything about constitutional law or my civic duty or how to read a case or anything like that. So, most people rely on oh well, we'll just trust the attorneys, and we'll just trust the lawyers, but they're not making the arguments that need to be made, which is why these problems are happening. Obviously, I can't speak for all of them, but from my experience, the people that I've seen, they're not making these arguments, and it's just disgusting how, you know, I can say exactly what the Supreme Court said in Bruin, and then the Massachusetts judge says I'm wrong because I'm a sovereign citizen, but then the next day the Supreme Court comes with the Bruin decision, and then nothing happens. Where's the all these questions and all the media for these judges and prosecutors violating my right when these decisions come out? When this doesn't just affect me, it affects every single person with these charges. It affects every single person that has been charged with this before who didn't have any criminal intent or any desire to hurt anyone. What about them and their families? Who's fighting for them? When there's someone sitting in jail right now charged with unlicensed possession of a firearm who had no intentions to hurt anyone, and they're serving years in prison. What about them? No one's helping them with the motion for dismissal based on Bruin. No one's helping them. What about them? That could be you. That was me. That could be you. That was my 10 co-defendants. That's happening to people right now. Listen, there's people I was in jail with. The prosecutor approached them. Hey, listen, we'll offer you a deal 5 years. The person denies it. A week later, case dismissed. How, in what world is that allowable? Where the prosecution knows they have nothing. They approach you anyway because you've already been in jail for 1.5 years and you want to go home. And they say, we'll give you 2 years. What time served? You go home today. Just for them to knowingly dismiss the case 2 weeks later? Yeah, we get to brag about how just the Justice Department is. What about situations like that? And these are not anomalies. If you've been in jail and you know law, you'll see this with almost everybody. A lot of people deserve to be there, trust me. But from what I've seen, the majority of what I've seen, people don't need to be in there. They didn't hurt nobody.
74% of the people that are in jail are nonviolent drug offenders with alcohol. They had to get a constitutional amendment to outlaw alcohol, which in itself was unconstitutional, but at least they went through the process of getting a constitutional amendment. They never did that with the war on drugs. Everybody, the 74% of people that are in jail for drugs shouldn't be there. Then there's a whole bunch of other people like Jamal who didn't commit a crime. He shouldn't be there either, right? The majority of the people that are in jails are for holding a gun, legally possessing a firearm, or drugs. And then shout outs to Avi. And Avi, get your ass on this fucking case, Buster. All right, bucko? Get your butt on this case. Avi's gotten 6 or 7 people that were wrongfully convicted out of jail. So, and that's just a regular dude. He's not even a lawyer. So can you imagine if 74% of the people are in jail for drugs, which is not a crime, and then other people are there for possessing weapons, which is not a crime, and then some random dude who's not a lawyer got 6 people out of jail who are there for the wrong place? God damn! This is crazy. This is a travesty.
And like I think Brad.
And I want to also, Jamal, I'll let you continue, but you've got a better memory than me. If you could also give maybe you want to give some advice, some hindsight, some 2020 talking to young activists or people going through the same thing or people who could get themselves in that too. I think that would be helpful.
When the police talk to you, don't talk to them. They're not there to help you, because that's what I thought. I thought I give him the information he needs so he can do his job, and then he lets us go. That was the impression I had, and the way he was conducting himself, that's what I thought was going to happen. And I found out later I was under investigation. My Miranda rights weren't read, and now everything I said was being used against me when he didn't even warn me I was under investigation. There was nothing. It was just a friendly conversation. And when you watch the body cam footage, if this goes to trial, you'll see that. Oh, I thought this wasn't a super escalated situation where people were tense. It was none of that. It was, we're trying to go to Maine. We just finished fueling up the vehicle while you had us on the side of the road talking to us. We fueled up. We're ready to go. Let us go. Don't talk to the police. Strive your best. If you're going to communicate with government officials, put it in writing, an email, a letter where you got certified copies. Put everything in writing. Keep everything in writing. And when you're made known of things like COINTELPRO and stuff like that, when you read it, don't just think it's something of the past. This is real life. And if you claim to believe in actual freedom and these principles, there will come a time where these tyrants will challenge you on it, because they're challenging everybody. They're tyrants. And it's it's up to you to weather that storm, whatever that storm is. And that's just where we are because we're unorganized. And
I'm gonna interrupt you to admire. I'm gonna interrupt you to admire you because what hasn't been said yet is Jamal could have easily never even been an activist in the first place. He could have just kept his mouth shut. He could have never cared about the poor DCYF CPS kids. He could have never gave a shit about the homeless people. He could have never gave shit about you, whether you're so-called white, so-called black. He was doing things for he could have just stayed at home. He could have played video games. He could have been scrolling through TikTok, right? He could have done that, but he didn't. And then
This is a classic example of when you push the system pushes back.
Yeah, because they want me to shut up. They want me to tuck my tail like a coward. The problem is they trained me. That's their problem. Don't create poverty to the point where people need to just join your military to get out of it, and you train them to stand on what's right.
They should have known better, dude. They should have known better, dude. They trained you in the U.S. Army, and then they sent you to the site of a toxic spill. They should have known you were going to be a freedom warrior, dude. You're a mutant freedom warrior, dude. What do they expect? I'm writing the Jamal Rise of the Moors comic book, bro. And I get to be your sidekick and throw whisks at people. It's gonna be fire.
They have a well-oiled indoctrination machine, and we have to look at this from a human perspective. That these cops, they're humans too. These judges, they're humans too. Granted, there's a lot of them that knows that what's happening is wrong, and they do it anyway. But we have to approach this from a human being perspective that these are regular people, that they got mortgages that are unconstitutional just like you. They got bills to pay that are unconstitutional just like you. So they're going to do their job. And a lot of them think that they're doing it to the best of their ability according to the letter of the law. The problem is they don't know enough law to realize that what's happening is unconstitutional. So we're dealing with a population that they have made a juxtaposition of us versus them, or the people versus the police, where it shouldn't be. Now it's hostilities on both sides where there shouldn't be.
Yep. All right, just quick. I'm going to interrupt you again. You're still here with me in the chat.
If we feed into that, then we manifest that narrative. There was no Moors versus the police. Though it was Jamal and Ryan having a conversation. The problem is Ryan's belief was he was enforcing laws that are just. That's the problem. It's not against Trooper Ryan Casey as the man. The problem is he's not taking the time to realize that he's enforcing slave laws against the entire population of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and he's doing it as a state trooper, and he thinks he's doing the right thing. That's the problem. He's not the problem. The education in this country is the problem for anyone to even believe that by you enforcing historically documented tyrannical laws, you think you're doing the right thing just because some guy in a suit and the attorney general said, well, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it's illegal to do that. That's slave law. And if you were an honest judge, if you were an honest prosecutor, if you were an honest state trooper or sheriff or CO at a jail, you would know that and you would speak up against it. And those people who believe that they're activists, they believe that they're good people, they believe in the rights of all people, then you should be the judge. You should be the prosecutor. You should be the mayor. You should be the governor. You should be the congressman, because then you're going to change those laws. That's whose shoulders this is on. If the person sitting on the bench is making a decision in favor of an unconstitutional law, you need to replace that judge with someone who's going to make a decision in favor of the Constitution. That's the only way to fix it. So people need to start educating themselves, running for office, and advocating for the rights that affect everybody, not just a small group of people, or not just arguing racism. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. There were white people that were part of the Underground Railroad freeing people. Their skin color didn't make them hate anyone else.
Likewise, one fun fact about my family: my great Irish grandfather, he was a conductor on the Underground Railroad. That was a joke. This is not really conductors, but sorry.
I was going to say that's.
Technically there were conductors because they conducted it.
I get.
He was shoveling the coal into the steam furnace there.
That's an analogy for something. They tried.
No, it is.
They tried to say the Quaker family was doing it.
And that's the thing is, what Jamal is saying is so important, and needs to be tripled down on, right? Because it doesn't make a difference what your so-called race is. We're all human beings. We're not like dogs where like I'm a Cocker Spaniel, Mel's is a pit. No, we're all human beings. The only difference is Jamal's a little bit cooler and has more melanin, right? That's all, right?
I'm definitely
right?
a nerd. I'm not cool.
No, you are cool though. I mean, there are nerds that are cool, right? But I wouldn't even consider you a nerd, honestly, because you know, just because you know shit doesn't mean you're a nerd. Like, honestly, I'm gonna put you up there in the top 5 alongside the best. First of all, the best superheroes of all time are the Ninja Turtles and Black Dynamite. I mean, but Black Dynamite, I sell drugs in the community. But okay, sorry. I need to have a little bit of fun. I just want to let you guys know we're gonna wrap this stream up here. I'm gonna give Jamal any final thoughts, and I want Melos to speak first on any final thoughts. And I've been constantly interrupting, but this has gone 3.5 hours now because this is such an important stream. And I need everybody that's watching, if you haven't joined us from the very beginning, rewind, watch this whole thing. If you're joining on Facebook, share right now. Whatever platform you're on, share it. Text Messenger, Facebook, everything, your wall, Twitter, X, whatever, Instagram, DM people. Say, hey, what do you think about this, right? Maybe you know somebody that's got connections. At the very least, what you can do is share. It takes 5 seconds, and it's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything. And again, the top link is to donate to Jamal. Jamal's had years of his life stolen from him for standing up for the oath that he took in the Marine Corps. He does not have a criminal record, and it's very important that, as Here's the Deal said, we need to stand up for what's going on to Jamal, because it's going to be all of us. You know what I'm saying? First they came for these guys, they didn't do nothing, and wait, you're going to be like, and you guys think I'm joking, bro. I called top bunk in the FEMA camp like 17 years ago. Going to be laughing, and you're not going to be able to move me from the bunk. I'll be like, no, bitch, you didn't listen to me. You called me crazy. I'm going to be sitting on the top bunk. I'm going to have a whole bunch of GMO ramen nickels.
That's how it is in Rhode Island ACI. You can't choose your bunk. They choose it for you.
Well, guess what? I call dibs. They're going to have to kill me.
I prefer bottom bunk, to be honest. You ain't got to climb nothing.
Yeah, I'm like I like being close to the ceiling for whatever reason. Although I have when I was a kid, I had a bunk bed with my little brother, and I fucking fell off that shit. They even had like the little guard, and so I do have a little fear of falling off that shit. But I feel you. All right, so Melos, any final thoughts here before we wrap this up, guys? I want to comment. I want to know who's still here with us, and what you plan to do about this. And of course it's non-violent, but I want to know where you're tuning in from. And if you don't want to say exactly where you're tuning in from, just say a lie too, because the comment helps the algorithm. And where you were streaming this to, or where you're sharing this video. Rozier Hop out in the Netherlands, a tremendous activist who's confronted kings and prime ministers out there, made him do the walk of shame, is streaming live on RHTV Live. Thank you very much. All right, who else have we got out there? And Melos, please continue, and we'll give Jamal the floor for the last part here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if Jamal, if you need any help with with your website, modifying it, adding it, or getting it out there, just reach out to Nick, to Will, and we'll help you out with that.
I appreciate that. I mean, you could feel free to take a look at it. I use Weebly. That's how I edit it and stuff like that. Feel free to take a look at it. Give me any suggestions. I'm open.
We definitely can. We can definitely improve it and add some extra things on there for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But between us, we have a network of
yeah, Melos is my right hand man. If you check out fakemikerealnews.com, shameless plug. I mean, I'm still working on it, but we've got a whole bunch of scripts. This guy's been making websites since back in the day, and we've got a whole bunch of little extras. So we might be able to even put you on where you can live stream from riseofthemoors.org. So we got a whole bunch of little extras, because I just was able to do that with my channel right now. So yeah, continue, Melos. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sure. I'll take a look at it. I'll let Will know, and we'll definitely help you out on that.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I don't really know what else I could say. I really don't. I've done my best to do research on case law and argue for my freedom, and I believe by the grace of God alone that, number one, I'm alive, and I wasn't murdered, and number two, I was released from jail with bail. Because I was in jail handwriting my own motions and stuff like that. And, I used every bit of my intellectual prowess, and I felt like it wasn't enough. And I feel like just by the grace of God alone that I was released. If you don't believe in God, that's fine. I'm not trying to push religion, but, I've read a verse in one of the holy books that it said, when man is afflicted by hardship, he prays to God alone for help. And then when God alleviates that hardship, he acts like he got out of that situation by his own knowledge, So although I do take pride in my intellectual achievements, it definitely wasn't me alone, because I can't stop bullets. I did my best to keep my composure and think and use my brain, but I think there's a higher power out there that kept me alive and kept my family safe. And
Your knowledge kept
we
you
didn't
alive.
lose the house. So yeah, I don't know.
Sorry,
I don't know
Jamal.
what to say. This is such
The
a
only, the
surreal
only,
situation,
the only
So-
defense we have against tyrants is knowledge, and I think it was your knowledge that's kept you alive all this time.
Jamal's a humble dude, of course. Jamal's a humble dude, and it's true. I do believe that. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I don't identify with any religion. But I do believe, for reasons that I won't get into now to deteriorate from the stream, but I do believe that there is something bigger than me that made this stuff. But I don't necessarily believe it's anyway. So, but I think there's something big out there for sure. And I do think that there's a hand in that for sure. But I also do believe that, as exactly what Mello says, Jamal's just being humble. Now, I'm going to end this live stream. However, Mello's, is that offer still on the table? So I want to say shout outs to one of my favorite activists, Eli, the people's guy out in New York City. I'm going to do my impression of Eli. Yo, what's up, my peeps? Yo, drop your beat.
Eli's just he's running live right now. He's been running some serious podcast panels. If you guys want to jump over there and continue this conversation over there, I think it'd be good to get.
If Jamal has the time, if not, we can set it. Okay, you don't.
I was supposed to watch the kids while my wife does stuff, and I've just been here for 3 hours.
Yeah, it's been 3.5 hours. So what we'll do, Jamal, is don't worry. We'll set
me
up
up for another year.
He streams every day. The guy has been doing some really long ass streams, man.
So don't worry, Jamal. This guy's got a big channel too, and me and you will hop on. I'll introduce you. We could tell a story to a whole bunch of new people, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
I'll do my best to be patient.
Cool, man. I was thinking I'd just move in, man.
Am I
just So yeah, no. So in all seriousness, guys, here, share this video. This has been a very long stream, but it's been very informative. You can see that we've proved without a shadow of doubt. What's the story here? What's the story here?
Yeah,
Jamal's a cool dude.
Got the transcripts from the court where it's blatant that he violated our rights. Blatantly obvious.
Multiple times, this poor dude's rights were violated, and even if he was a criminal, which he's not, even if he was some type of bad dude, which he's not, this would still be a travesty, but he is. And he served this country, and he's just standing on the oath to the Constitution that he took. He's never called for violence, and he's not a criminal, and he's been entangled in all this stuff. So the links are in the description. Jamal, you'll either be seeing him or hearing his story every single week on this channel, except for Fridays. Fridays are the fun days. Jamal, if you ever want to have fun with me, Fridays are the fun days. You'll have some fun on those streams. I need to do it for my mental sanity. So we're having fun Fridays, Fake Mike Fridays. Those are the fun days. But I'm not sure what other day of the week I'm going to set on scheduling for, but every week we're going to hear about this story. I'd like to thank Mellows for joining us. I'd like to thank Jamal from Rise of the Moors. Please check him out. Please donate. That's a top link in the description. Please share the video. Sharing the video is free.
I do have one final thing, because I do believe this. I believe, like, if there's anyone out there who has studied law, maybe you're an attorney or not, whatever, you don't have to be part of the bar, but if you know the law, if you studied the law, feel free to examine everything. Feel free to look at the motion to suppress hearing, the transcript. Feel free to look at all the evidence. And if you can, write an amicus curiae brief to not just the court, but to the Attorney General and the executive branch of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Because I feel like if more people intelligently vocalize how they know what's happening is wrong, and there's a record of it, then I think it'll be a little easier. Because there's a lot of people that, they're being released now 40, 50 years later, and the evidence shows that the prosecutor and the judge and the governor and everybody knew that, what was happening to these people was wrong. But now that enough people are saying something about it, now they have to change it. So I would like to get ahead of this and not have to be in prison before people realize, wait a minute, what he said was right and was proven every single time by multiple courts. But now, years later, now that the damage is already done, now we're going to say that, he's free to go. I don't want that to happen to my family. I don't want that to keep happening to people in general, because it's happening today. How come there wasn't any news about I think it was like the chief of police son who was caught with unlicensed possession of a firearm? He was trying to sell them. Well, it was the same energy when it came to him. How come he wasn't found dangerous? How come, why is it that's happening to us, but it's not happening to them? But, when you really look at it, it's happening to commoners. I consider myself a commoner because I'm not rich. I'm not upper class. I'm not in the, rubbing shoulders with these types of people. So, of course, it's going to happen to me. But what about everybody else that is happening to? I just so happen to be, that international news was said about me and people heard about it. And there's enough people that know that what's happening is wrong. But what about the people that it's happening to them? It's been happening to them. And they don't have, like those 15, 16 people here. They don't have Will to support them. They don't have Brian to support them. They don't have Mellows to support them. What about them? We're speaking up for them too. There's case law that says that when you stand up for the Constitution, you're doing so as a private attorney general and you're speaking up for everybody's pre-existing rights. And that's what needs to happen. And it can't stop. And it can't stop, especially when the tyrants turn up their tyranny. That's where you're supposed to be the most fortified.
Nice.
Because that's why you stood up in the first place. Just because it's happening to me now doesn't mean I'm going to be quiet. No, I started speaking up because what was happening to people was wrong. Now it's happening to me. Now I have the firsthand experience. It's even more wrong. The narrative hasn't changed that what's happening to people is wrong. Just because it started to happen to me. It's been wrong from the beginning. And more people need to say something. More people need to do something. And it needs to be organized and intelligent and
imagine if everybody that watched this video, went and just Googled the mainstream news, Fox News, CNN News, MSNBC, whatever the hell the damn news stations are, and you go to their websites as well as your local news stations. You find your local ABC, NBC, all those affiliates. What happens if you email that to all the citizen journalists and all those people and say, hey, would you look at this case? This is pretty interesting. Now, I'll tell you what happened. And it's really easy. You just go to your website. You can do it on the federal level and the local level. And the great part about it is, since you're just copying and pasting something, it takes about 10 minutes to do this to all the newspapers, to all the politicians on the federal and local level. And this is all you'd have to say. You'd say, hey, there's a case of racism where a black veteran who doesn't have a criminal record is being targeted in a small town by a racist group of cops and judges. I would like to hear you cover it. Now, I will tell you exactly what will happen. If only Rozier does that, nothing will happen. No one cares. But if a local news department, if a local journalist got 15 to 50 emails in the same day, yo, have you heard about this shit? They're being racist. And you use keywords like racist, bro. There's a small town. This is what you have to tell them, bro. Be polite. I'm going to tell you what you say. To whom it may concern. I'm letting you know that I'm disappointed and frustrated with the coverage so far and the lack of coverage about a U.S. Marine Corps veteran with no criminal record being falsely charged by in a small town by a group of racist cops and a racist judge. You send them that email, they're going to be all over that. You get 25, 50 people in the same small town, bro, doing that. We're going to change things. We're going to change things. It's all about what Jamal's talking about, changing the perception. And doing that is how you do it. I can only sit here and send emails myself, and ask you guys and beg and plead you guys to send emails. That's the only thing that I can do.
And read the transcripts.
Sorry, Rozier, I'm going to keep this. Rozier says no trash talk, no nothing negative. You're very polite. You keep it cordial. You use fucking spell check. And if you're not sure how to write a great letter, email me. It's fakemikerealnews@gmail.com. I will help you out with that letter. Okay? No excuses.
And read the transcripts for yourself. Don't, this is not Jamal said. He said this under oath. Ryan Casey said these things under oath, and they clearly show a blatant violation of the Constitution. And just because of the color of my skin, that doesn't make that okay. That's all I have to say. I have to go. My wife needs help.
Jamal, thank you very much for your time, brother. I really appreciate you. I will be in touch with you later on today, And I'm gonna get you in contact with all these people. And like I said, I told you before, man. I told you when you got out and I came to your crib, bro. I said, bro, I'm gonna do everything that I can, and I'm going to do it. I reached out to people before, and they were like, well, there's only so much I can do. Have you tried damn Borgino? No offense to that suggestion, but it's not a great suggestion. Maybe he'll do something. But Jamal, thank you for your time. Love you, brother. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Man. Have a good one.
Take care, Jamal. Speak soon.
You too. Thank you to everyone that tuned in.
Yeah, big ups to Jamal. And big up to all you guys for sharing this. You guys did a tremendous job. This is something that weighs heavy on my heart, literally, man. I didn't know if he was ever going to get out of jail. This is a dude that I used to chill with every once in a while, you know what I'm saying? Not like we'd hang out, but like if we had events or whatever, he would be there, I would be there, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he's just such a chill dude. He's just a regular dude, you know what I'm saying? Like he's funny.
Hey, Phil, when you end this, why don't you jump over onto Eli's panel and just bring up the topic? And
cool, yeah.
Play back the video for them as well and shit.
Yeah, well, the thing is, now that it's gotten a little closer, before when you said that was about 15, 20 minutes ago, now it's a little closer to, I have to go into work, and it's snowing here. It doesn't look like my boss is here, but it looks like there may be other people here, so I'm going to need at least like an hour to be by 4:30 Eastern time. If they're still streaming over there,
I think you know what he's going to be doing in an hour, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Auditing Erie County. Shout out to Auditing Erie County. Auditing Erie County. If you haven't watched this video, start from the beginning. The only other person I forget to thank was, again, thank you to the chat. Thank you to everybody that shared. Thank you to Mellows for orchestrating this whole thing. Thank you for Todd. Very big up shots to Todd. Thank you for Jamal, of course, the mem. And here's the deal for joining as well today and taking over while I showered. Auditing Erie County.
I was going to interrupt you a second.
Oh, you may, but let me say one more thing. Auditing Erie County. The reason I'm bringing up Auditing Erie County is he's another guy with the big channel. Please, I'm begging you, either share this video and/or have Jamal, or even better, have Jamal on. Take a look at the case. Watch this video, and help us any way that you can, because he's a good dude. Anything that you could do to help would be awesome. Basically sharing a video, interviewing, doing a video, whatever you can would be much appreciated. We can't allow this to occur. Thank you, Mel's. Any final words? And yeah, if anybody wants to check me out, Eli, the People's Guy, has it's called the People's Podcast. Melos, could you put that in the chat, please? And I will be over there in about an hour or so. If you could put that in the chat here. If anybody is just joining in on Facebook or X, follow me over on YouTube. I'm going to do a little housekeeping here quickly. Follow me on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Fake Mike Real News. On Cash App, $ Fake Mike Real News. PayPal, Fake Mike Real News. On Twitter, it's Fake Mike Real News. On Facebook, it's FakeMikeRealNews.com and Will Turbitt, TURBITT. FakeMikeRealNews.com. If anything ever happens, that's my home base right there. Fake Mike Real News. The Fakest Mikey on, I don't know if that's Snapback or TikTok or whatever the hell you kids got nowadays. It's one of those things. Just Google Fake Mike Real News. If you go to YouTube, Fake Mike Real News, go over there and subscribe. Also, and hit the bell for notifications, because you never know when I'm going live. It could be an interaction with the politician. It could be the police. It could be have a dope-ass interview with the CIA whistleblower or a U.S. diplomat or with Jamal. You never know what's going to happen. So subscribe to the channel. And yeah, so if you, I'll put it in the description too, but Mellows, if we could just, before we wrap up here, if you could put in the thing, because it's difficult. When you look up the People's Podcast, it doesn't come up on YouTube, because there's like 17 things like with that same name.
I'll drop the link. Just give me a second. I'm working.
All right, take your time. And again, I'll do some housekeeping. Also, I want to give a shout out to my boy, Right the Matrix. Right the Matrix had talked about this. He's featured this as well on his channel. I think his channel may have gotten because of this potentially. But that's why he's on Right the Matrix 0, which is why I bring it up, because Right the Matrix is like whack-a-mole with his channels, and I'll just say that. So in order to find him, you always want to look. I always say to do this. He's not like any other YouTuber. You want to look up in the search function, Right the Matrix, and then go to filters. The little filters thing on the right-hand side that looks like a little hamburger, and you're going to search channels. When you search those channels, you're going to subscribe to all of them, because he's got a new channel all the time, and you're also going to hit the bell for notifications, because you don't know which one he's going to go live from. So yeah, I'm not gonna say what happened, but you already know what happened. Hit him with the old, you know whaty. So and we're just gonna wait 1 second. I want to say thank you again. Mel's gonna put that in the stream, and so Mel's gonna put the link to Eli's channel, which is his People's Podcast channel. We're gonna go over there. We're gonna talk. Maybe Jamal will join us. Maybe he will not. But we're gonna talk about the case over there, and we're gonna play some of the videos as well too. So we got it here. It's there. I'm gonna pin that message in the. I'm starring the comments. That comment has been starred. So I'm gonna go live for about 3 more minutes here, just so everyone can go ahead and subscribe to Eli's channel. Give him some support. When you go over there, please comment on his most recent video or any video for that matter. One, to help the algorithm, and also let him know that the fakest of all mics and Mellows sent you. Let him know fake Mike Mellows, fake Mike, real Mellows. Let him know that we sent you over there. Thank you very much, right, the Matrix Zero. Let him know. Yo, what? Tell him that fake Mike said, yo, what's up, my peeps? Say your piece. Yo, Eli, the people's guy. He's awesome. He's a great musician. He's a great activist. And he really is the people's guy. I really do love Eli at first. I wasn't sure. I'm always skeptical about people, but he passes my test so far. So go subscribe to Eli, E-L-Y, the people's guy. His first channel, his backup channel, and then also the People's Podcast. The People's Podcast also features my boy, Good Guy Audits, who is amazing. He's an awesome activist. He's a good bro of mine, and he's a male model, so he's awesome. And he can hit blue steel better than just about anybody.
I think Grim is going live tonight, or he's live. I'm not sure. I have to check.
Cool. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you very much, Mellows. Love you guys. Stay tuned. We're gonna be live 8 p.m. this Eastern Friday. Fake Mike Fridays. It's gonna be a fun stream, so stay tuned for that. Love you guys. The link is starred. Go subscribe. I'll see you guys in a bit. Peace.